We are back live here on the Cowboys Report. Tom Downey, producer Chris, once again behind the scenes for what will be several hours worth of coverage here. We have a move made by the Dallas Cowboys. That's why we were a little bit delayed at getting live because I put out a short on it. The Cowboys have re-signed the long snapper, Trent Sieg. For the record, I do not think this is going to count in the will the Cowboys sign anyone today poll. So I am going to end that poll and start a new one of will the Cowboys sign anyone not named Trent Sieg. The long snapper is back, not named Trent Sieg. I don't think it counts. It's the long snapper. It's vet minimum. It barely changes their salary cap status. They have all the money they had available previously. So I do not think this counts. So will they make a signing? Because long snappers are, if kickers aren't people, long snappers are probably a little bit more than people. We just ignore them. They don't do any, what's the line from, what was the line? It's from, that's a good movie too. It's the English Secret Service one, Kingsman, where a gentleman's name should be in the paper when he's born, when he's married, and when he dies. A long snapper's name should be mentioned when they're signed, when they make the roster, and when they get cut. That's when their name should be mentioned. Anything else, something terrible has happened. Because it means they probably botched a snap. So it does not count. They are now no longer the only team to do something in free agency, but it's a long snapper. It doesn't really count. You can always find one super cheap. So I'm not counting that one at all. Sam, a $5 super chat. We'll run through our menu here momentarily. Hey, Tom, my friend said we were interested in Zach Moss. They turned him down due to asking for too much. That was the report from Michael Gelkin, and Gelkin doesn't miss, so I totally buy that one in the end. It's a little bit embarrassing for the organization to kind of allow it to get out of we were close on a $4 million deal. That's too much for you? I honestly would have been fully on board signing Zach Moss to a 2-year, $8 million deal. It's $4 million a year. It's half of what Tony Pollard made, and he was more efficient than Pollard was. And then you don't have to take it back early. Moss played really well last year for Indy. $4 million worth. That's too much? So you're going to sign a $2 million back. Get ready for J.K. Dobbins, Clyde Edwards-Helaire, and a reach draft pick coming your way. Ridiculous. From what was he? Let's go, Brandon. That's what we'll call him. Thank you. I'm glad you knew exactly what I was thinking for there. The organization could give a shit about their fan base. They squeezed them for our money, knowing they had the largest fan base out there. They just. By the way, I will issue a retraction. I have learned the Jones boys are not on the yacht. The yacht is in the Bahamas. The Jones boys are not on it. Charlotte's soon-to-be daughter-in-law was having her bachelorette party on it. So, and Charlotte was there, which is fine. But Jones boys are not on it. Will I continue to use that to push my narrative? Maybe. Anyway, here's today's super chat menu. $10 gets you into the Drew Pearson mini helmet entry. Because there will be a bunch of super chats, I won't count the fives together because it's too much math for me. So $10 gets you in. $50 for a beer bong. We can drink and commiserate together. $20 for a shot. We will also do the Venmo 50-50 raffle. And maybe we can give away more money today than the Cowboys have spent in free agency on outside players. We can do it, which at this rate, 3 Venmos will make that happen in the end. So at What Going Downey for the Venmo 50-50 raffle. We'll do it at the end of today's live stream, probably in a couple of hours. The nice part is you don't necessarily have to watch the race because I don't need to track you down for information. I can just do it immediately. So $10 on the Venmo 50-50 entry. We will run that at the end of today's live show. Chris B., they rebuild in 2025. Can't tell me otherwise. If Dak is under contract, they will not be rebuilding. My concern is this. This team, which I think they're wrong to do it this way, is so concerned about the 2025 cap when, as of right now, they're slated to have the third most players under contract and $90 million in salary cap space, that they're so worried about that money they don't want to spend anything now, which it does not make sense to me, unless deep down they are worried about losing the quarterback and they want to find a way to be able to spend some money or go get a veteran, whatever, and figure it out. They got some key players who are free agents: Tank Lawrence, Zach Martin, Dak, CeeDee Lamb. Going to re-sign all of those guys pretty easily. And still room to the cap space. Re-signing themselves is not always easy. So I don't think they want to rebuild. I think they want to ensure they are always at least a fringe playoff team. And if Dak's not under contract, that becomes much more challenging to do. So they're trying to play it both ways. They're trying to both sides it, and that's just not a good path to go down. Today's show is made possible by Prize Picks. Prize Picks is daily fantasy made easy. You can pick 2 to 6 player stat projections, more than or less than, on anything that's out there. You can do esports, NBA, college basketball, NHL, PGA Tour. Been on a heater with that one there. Go to prizepicks.com/CLNS and use code CLNS for a first deposit match up to $100. Links in the comments in the live chat as well. Here's my prize picks for the players this week out at TPC Sawgrass. I will make note, Scotty Scheffler is already on the more than. He is now up to 5 on the birdies, which I think is, I'm still going to take the more than. His putter got figured out. He was literally the best putter in the final round at Bay Hill, and he was incredible. Matthew Fitzpatrick has not been playing well. Love the less than on the 4 birdies there. I obviously hope I'm wrong. I don't like cheering against people, but still. Shane Lowry's played some good golf. I think he can go more than 4. And I'll be cheering for Justin Thomas, too. So more than 4.5 birdies. Again, folks, go to prizepicks.com/CLNS and use code CLNS for a first deposit match up to $100. Links in the comments section and the description of today's show. Let's talk the latest here on one Derrick Henry. Now, the latest report, which came from Brad Stainbrook, who does have some good information, works I think for the Browns 24/7 sports site, that the Ravens have offered Derrick Henry a deal worth around somewhere in the $6.5 million a year range, which is really not that much money. And, I had never thought the Cowboys were going to be in the market for a $10 million back. Now, I never thought that was a plan they really wanted to do. That's why they weren't ever interested in Josh Jacobs, etc. There's also a report from Jane Slater who says let me just read off Jane's tweet here. Friend of the show, Jane Slater, who, not realizing it, I think is going to get the Cowboys in trouble for it. They did kick around the idea of Zach Moss, but passed because 2 years, $8 million was too much for them. Unbelievable. And the source told her that we are looking at any player that can improve us in range that we can afford. We have talked to any guy who has called and listened to what their wishes or ranges are. You know how bad that quote is? We're not going to go out actively try to make ourselves better. We're going to wait till you call us. Really? It's an unserious franchise. Unserious across the board. Their phones don't work. They've got needs along the offensive line, defensive line, running back, maybe wide receiver, maybe not, linebacker, corner, and the solution is, we'll see who calls us. But they're not trying. So, Derrick Henry, if you did a 2-year deal for $14 million for Derrick Henry, I don't think that's that bad. I don't want to pay back big money. I think, $7 million for Derrick Henry, that's James Conner money. That I could live with that. I would be excited because it would be the Cowboys doing something. I don't want my splash, which they're obviously not going to make, to be a back. But if they're not going to pay Zach Moss $4, who, by the way, was pretty damn efficient last season, relative to guys like Joe Mixon and others out there, they're not going to pay $4. If they're not even wanting to pay $3.5 for Zach Moss, I think they're going to do 6.5 for Derrick Henry. In the end, whether it's today, tomorrow, I think Henry's going to go chase the crab cakes in Maryland and not end up in Dallas. But we're not that far away from the market. I had said what the Cowboys 5 to 6 million would be something they would consider for Derrick Henry. You're not that far away from it. You're really not. So would you offer Derrick Henry, $7 million a year? Is that a deal you would make? Y for yes, N for no in the comment section. Go ahead and sound off for me right now as I'll swipe all these away. Make sure there are no Venmos on the 50-50 raffle side. Thank you. I'm confused. I've had a Venmo transaction for a weird amount. That was not for the raffle. Y for yes, N for no. Would you have done that signing? A lot of yeses in there. I do think the age and workload for Derrick Henry has turned teams off. You saw Aaron Jones get 7. I would bet Derrick Henry wants something similar, and I don't blame him either. I have my doubts the Cowboys want to spend anything of note at the running back position. I think that's based on what they did with the lack of a contract offer for Zach Moss, which I would have been very happy with 2 years, $8 million for Derrick Henry, or for Zach Moss. I'd have been excited. You're not paying anything at running back. It's $4 million. Your punter is making $3 million. Let that sink in for a second. Your punter is making $3 million this season. And you're like, technically 3.8. Like, you didn't want to pay Zach Moss more than your punter. I don't get it. You got 2 backup quarterbacks making something like almost $8 million too. We're not talking about big money there. We're not talking about a $16 million contract for a back. We're chopping off a whole figure in front of that number. I'd be supposed to stop pocket watching the kickers, Tom, you bully. Your kicker is making literally nothing. He barely qualifies for your. In fact, he might not qualify for your top 51 in the offseason, which is kind of hilarious. I don't know. Let's run through some of the free agency moves that have gone down. And in the interest of disclosure, I will point out deals that I would have had interest in doing. DeAndre Swift. Obviously, Deion Dawkins, you kind of can't make that happen because it's an extension. Grenard got paid by the Vikings. I wouldn't have done that either. Tony Pollard was the first big one that went to the Titans, 3 years, $24 million. I wouldn't have done that. I think the Cowboys had hoped that maybe $5 million max for Pollard was going to be the market. Ends up going for $8 million. That's a long snapper. That's a tight end who you don't need one. That's going to be vet minimum. Because if we don't know the details by now, it's going to be cheap. Blake Brandell, kind of a re-signing, sure. Brandon Jones, I would not have gone that much for the safety. Lloyd Cushenberry did get paid, by the way, in Tennessee. Big-time contract there at center. Better than Biotish, but I wouldn't have paid that much money because I would love to fix center in the draft. It's what I would love to do. I didn't love the markets out there. Dorrance Armstrong, they're really going to be 3 years, $33 million, up to $45. Thanks for the comp pick there. Gabe Davis got a reckless contract. He's not that good. Wouldn't have done that. Christian Wilkins, if I had an empty checkbook and or a bottomless pit of money and a full checkbook, then yeah, that's not a realistic deal for Dallas to do. I also don't know what the Raiders are doing. Honestly, I don't. And that's not even the least favorite free agency thing I've seen so far. Paying Christian Wilkins, okay, I get it. But you're going to also make Gardner Minshew your guy? I don't understand that one. Cam Lewis, Gunnar Olszewski, whatever. Biotish got $10 million. I didn't want to pay Biotish $10 million. It's about what I thought he would get on the open market. It's fine. I wouldn't have gone down that route. Lonnie Jackson, no. Jonah Jackson's deal with some of the other deals that came in at guard stand out as pretty significant and not a bad contract at all for Jackson when you see some of these other guard contracts about to go down. So knowing how the guard market went, knowing the tackle market's pretty damn quiet right now, I think that stands out as one of the better value deals. Dallas obviously was not going to pay that much for a guard. Darnell Savage got $21 million. He was not great on a 3-year deal for the Jags. That was kind of weird. Colby Parkinson got paid by the Rams. Interesting. Josh Jacobs, honestly, kind of turned out to be a pretty team-friendly contract. It's 4 years, $48 million, with only about $12 million guaranteed. So that there's some easy outs on that deal for Jacobs. Dallas obviously never going to do a big deal for Bryce Huff. He might cause some issues for you with your tackles. That one you might be like, I'm always intrigued by how the Eagles do business. Paid Bryce Huff. They're going to move on from one of Josh Sweat and Hassan Reddick, which is very interesting. Will Lutz, to kicker, not a person. Kirk Cousins got a huge contract. I mean, $45 million per year for a 36-year-old guy coming off an Achilles. It's a massive contract. And for Atlanta, like they are now a playoff team, or at least a fringe playoff team, in a way they weren't last year. And I feel like now you got to feel pretty good about your current status, if for Atlanta, of job security than gambling on the young guy. Antonio Gibson, I think there might have been interest there from the Cowboys. They weren't going to go to 4 for Zach Moss. I kind of doubt they would have been approaching 4 for Gibson. It's obviously not quite 4, 3.25, whatever it is. That was pretty. I was a little bit surprised how much money he got from the Patriots. Sorry, 3.75. Higher end deal on that front. That was someone I had monitored. Like when Pollard left, I'm like, okay, let's keep an eye on this guy, see what he gets, and then off the board on a fairly expensive deal. Fumbling issue there. Sean Murphy-Bunting, the corner, was on my list of like maybe he's affordable. He was not to Arizona. John Runyon, the guard. That one also might stand out as a pretty decent deal. Only $10 million per year. You'll see some other deals here. Vikings also spending, which I find interesting. Andrew Van Ginkel, $10 million. For Dorrance Armstrong, it's kind of similar deals in the end. Tyquan Lewis, the Colts love him. They brought him back. Blake Cashman was one of the first linebackers to go off the board. I like his game, but I don't think Dallas wants to spend that much at the linebacker spot. If they had done that, though, there's like 3 tiers, right? Wouldn't have done, would have done, would have talked myself into. Cashman falls into the, and I think Runyon too, talked myself into. Like it's not a super value deal. You don't find many of those on day one of free agency. But those are like, if they had done them, we would have got ourselves excited. Like the Cowboys can drop $8 million per year on any one free agent, and we will all be over the moon because it would be their biggest free agency signing in almost a decade. Let that sink in. Robert Hunt, $20 million a year. Massive deal for him. Blown away by how much they paid him. Good player, but that's a lot of money. Bilal Nichols, the Cardinals are screwing up the defensive tackle market, which bothers me. Because Bilal Nichols is not that good of a player, and he got $7 million. I don't get it. Tight end Charlie Warner to the Falcons. Jeffrey Okudah, 1 year, $4.75 million. Now, I think he's going to get a better path to playing time in Houston than it might be in Dallas, but like, I would have had interest there. And he was on my list too. Danico Autry, that one stung. That one was initially reported as 2 years, $10 million, and I was like, oh my God, why didn't you do that? Well, it's actually 2 years, $20 with $10.5 guaranteed. So not as good of a deal, but that falls into the I would have been excited about it bucket. I love Xavier McKinney. Dallas is never going to spend like that. Devin Singletary comes in at 16.5 as the Vikings pivot away after losing Saquon Barkley to the Eagles. They were not going down that path there. $5.5 million. I thought that would be on the upper echelon range of what the Cowboys would be willing to spend. Clearly, it's not. And that's a couple million higher than what they want to spend. Punter Cameron Johnson. Grover Stewart, and this deal now looks pretty good given some other defensive tackle market signings. 3 years, $39 million. Again, the Cowboys were just never going to, but he'd have been a good player. The Gus Bus gets 2 years, $6.5 million. It's not a bad contract. It's cheap for a rotation 1A, 1B back. Oh, the Bengals are trading Joe Mixon to the Texans. Wow. They hadn't officially cut him yet. Plot twist. It's a great move by the Bengals. So we're going to have to go in to that running back listicle. And I'm going to give you a different name here, Chris. Because originally we had Joe Mixon on there. and as I kind of plugged him into the running back free agency listicle, but that is no longer an option. Also, I was wrong. I don't know why I had James Conner as a free agent. He's not. Very, very dumb of me, so my apologies there. Running back option, let's put in Damian Harris. I don't love that, which is not ideal for that perspective. But we got the answer from us. So let's put Damian Harris on there. Running back market getting thin. This does take Houston out of the running, though, for a starting back. Does take Mixon Texans out of that race there. So curious what they gave up. I'm actually a bit surprised by that because Joe Mixon's going to be due like $6 million, and he's probably worth more in that $4 million range. So surprise trade there for the Mixon angle. We'll come back to the running back market here in a little bit, but news there, Joe Mixon heading over to the Houston Texans via trade. What a time to be alive. Geno Stone got it's only $214 from the Bengals. It's a great deal for Cincinnati. They've made some moves I love. Mike Ford resigns, whatever. Gardner Minshew, $225, which is like, you might be our starter money, and that's kind of a weird contract. Go ahead and push that across, Chris. Which I did not fully understand. Devin Duvernay, 2 for 8.5 to be kind of return man, backup Jamal Agnew replacement. That's fine. Greg Gaines re-signed with Tampa. I would have had interest in that one. He was on my defensive tackle list. Leonard Floyd, I think I nailed my prediction almost to the money there. $220 for him. Cowboys legend Chidobe Awuzie got paid again, this time by Tennessee, 3 years, $36. Justin Jones gets 3 years, $30.1. Again, he's not that good of a defensive tackle. Went for $10 million. Wild to me. Frankie Luvo, 3 years, up to $36 million. That one, I wanted Frankie Luvo. They were never going to pay him up to $12 million a year. The only way it would have been is if it got down to 7. So it's a good signing by the Commanders. Of all the Commanders' moves, I like that one the best for them, by the way. Will Dissly, so Chargers not going to go Brock Bowers, I'd assume, in round 1. 3 years, $14 for him. AJ Epinesa re-signs with the Bills. Anthony Walker, going to be a cheap one-year deal for Miami. Zadarius Smith re-signs with the Browns. Mac Wilson gets, a little over $4 million a year with the Cardinals. Mo Hurst re-signs. Marcus Davenport goes to Detroit, out of the Cowboys' price range. Eli Gilman gets 2 years, $11. It's plenty of safeties out there. Carlton Davis was a trade for the Detroit Lions, by the way. Haven't seen the full details. I think it was like a third round pick and like a couple of other moves beyond that. Zach Bond goes to Philadelphia, 1 year deal there. Nice depth. The Dolphins saved some cap space with Jalen Ramsey. Juwan Jennings got RFA'd. Another move here. By the way, Shaq Barrett is going to the Miami Dolphins. Cowboys. Give me a second here.
If you guys haven't already, go ahead and like today's video. If you enjoyed this free agency coverage that we're bringing to you, I know the Cowboys haven't done anything of note. Long snappers don't count. But like today's video if you enjoy all this free agent coverage that we've been bringing you the last 2 days.
Shaq Barrett to the Dolphins. I'm curious what the money is there, because that's a guy I've liked for a long time. Jermaine Illuminor gets $7 million, so I think be the Giants' new right tackle, by the way. The Giants also paid and traded for Brian Burns. Massive contract there. Austin Eckler, who I am concerned is washed, got 2 years. Let's call it 2 years, 10, more likely. Jordan Brooks gets $330 from Miami. That's the up to figure. Might come in a little bit lower than that. Ronald Darby got $210 from Jacksonville. One of my favorite targets, two of my favorite targets that were on the higher end of being unlikely there. Azeez Al-Shaair to the Texans, $334. I was hoping for like 6 for him. Maybe 7 or 8. That's not going to go down there. Mike Onwenu to the re-signs with the Patriots. By the way, as we're getting to today, that is the only tackle move made so far. Jermaine Illuminor too. The tackle market is silent, which maybe gives you just enough hope on Tyron Smith, but hope's a dangerous thing. Noah Fant, $10 million plus per year. Aaron Brewer goes to Miami. Now, I was not going to pay Brewer $7 million. It's an overpay, I think. But Connor Williams, I would assume, not going back to Miami. Maybe Brewer plays guard and Williams stays the center, whatever. Meanwhile, Dolphins out of the center market probably in round 1. So that's helpful for you. Might push somebody down. Leonard Williams, big deal from Seattle. Brissett, that's good, bridge veteran backup quarterback money for him. Iturgros Matos, 2 years, $18 million. Jordan Hicks, this is one of the few deals I'm like, I would have done that one. I would have done $4 million for Jordan Hicks. Sounds like their max is going to be more like $3 million, maybe. Maybe they find a different one. Sione Takitaki goes to the Patriots, whatever. Punter Tommy Townsend. He's also a bad punter, by the way. He's not good. Couple of one-year deals: Chase Edmonds, Malik Harrison, Jalen Reagor, whatever. Zach Moss, a 2-year, $8 million deal. The Cowboys apparently were in on Zach Moss, but not at that price tag. $4 million is too much money for the Cowboys to spend on a solid back. Oh, how the times have changed. On one hand, I appreciate them being financially shrewd at running back because there's so much depth. On the other hand, this pendulum has now swung so far in the other direction. $4 million for a running back is not a lot of money. Let me put that in perspective. Highest paid running backs out there, $4 million in that market. Some super chats get to here momentarily. $4 million on a per year rate is less than what Bijan Robinson and Jahmyr Gibbs are making. It's less than what Austin Eckler's making. It's Samaje Perine money. It's really not that expensive. You could draft a running back at the back end of round 1 and be paying them about a pretty similar number. Najee Harris makes 3.26. Jeff Wilson makes 3. It's just it's crazy. It's crazy. Super chats here. Tom, I know I'm pissed off, but it pisses me off that these guys can't even spend $5 million on a running back. It's so dumb, this organization. Look, it's frustrating. To be, until you sign Trent Sieg this morning to be your long snapper on the vet minimum, which is all long snappers get there. To not get to not want to do it. It's one thing to say we don't want that player. Okay, that's fine. But to say we have interest in the player and $4 million is not. I just can't get on board with that. You're only going to be bargain buying again, and that's very frustrating. Now, I will say, the yacht for the Joneses is in the Bahamas. I have gathered it is not Steven and Jerry on there. Now, it doesn't mean they're not somewhere else, I suppose, but that was Charlotte Jones Anderson's, I guess she dropped the Anderson, so Charlotte Jones' daughter-in-law, soon-to-be daughter-in-law, is having her bachelor party there. So that's what the yacht is in usage for. Still, do something. Stick emoji, do something. Carl Bruh, let's say you're going all in, actually. Who is left? Who are you making a run with? Any possible trades within reason? This team has no draft capital of value with other needs to fill that you almost can't justify trades for premium assets, filling your needs if you got to pay somebody too. So maybe there's some 7th-round picks that make some sense that you can flip somebody for. You got to go sign a back. Let's go to some of these positions here. There are still backs available. You need to sign a back that's not just Rico Dowdle, who is, I think, injury prone at this point. The big names are off the board. J.K. Dobbins, Deonta Foreman, A.J. Dillon, Alexander Madison. It's not a great group, man. It's really not. And assuming Derrick Henry does go to the Ravens, it's not a great group. Linebacker, you've got to go get somebody too. I think you need a veteran. I think you need to get a veteran in there. I would love to get some offensive line help too. I think your best path to upgrading the offensive line is to do it via the draft. Because I want to upgrade at center, and I want to have a starting caliber left tackle on my roster. Right now, I have neither under contract. And I only have one first-round pick. So maybe I can draft Troy Fautanu and put him at tackle or guard. And maybe I get lucky and like Zach Frazier falls to me at center. But I don't know if Brock Hoffman is much of an upgrade over Tyler Biadasz. Brock Hoffman for the vet minimum versus Biadasz for $10 million a year, different conversation. Brock Hoffman, a straight-up upgrade, I'm not so sure. It worries me. I thought they ran the ball better at times with Hoffman in there. That's why I was down to move on from Biadasz. But they have to add some talent here. They have too many needs. And it doesn't have to be today. It can be tomorrow. It can be Wednesday, Thursday, Friday. But the market gets thinner and thinner. And they want to win the deal too damn badly. You know, I would have loved to have found a vet front four player, a good defensive tackle to help me out. Like, you know? Luis D. Garza, sign Henry and Zeke at $7.25 an hour. Bring in a linebacker with the rest of the money. I assume you mean Zeke at $7.25 an hour. I don't want. There's no reason to bring Zeke back. There's not, guys. Why am I signing a 3.5 yard per carry back? Why? You're not. Honestly, Rico Dowdle was better than Zeke last season. There's different usage rates. The efficiency numbers were the same or better for pretty much everything in Dowdle, even short yardage stuff. So I'm not doing Zeke. Like, if you could promise me prime Zeke, let's ride. But current Zeke is in the Dalvin Cook category of like, yeah, he doesn't have it anymore. There's no benefit. Sam, do they re-sign Trent Sieg just to piss us off? Like, honestly, I mean, no. But here's the issue. They just don't care. They just don't care about it. Chris B., imagine this front office doing a rebuild, 10 years of suffering. That's my issue. They have gotten lucky with their last two quarterbacks. They found a UDFA in Romo and a fourth-round pick in Dak Prescott that wasn't their first or second option, or even third. They liked Carson Wentz a lot that year. They wanted Paxton Lynch, and they missed. Imagine this team had traded up for Paxton Lynch. Imagine how bad of shape they would be in, or how unrealistic or uncertain the future would be. So, like, none of that. Like, they can draft, but I don't trust them in free agency. So, figuring out the quarterback, spending that money, how's that going to happen? From Cheese Weena, how would you feel if we draft Blake Corum? Because they're in the third round, I would have no real complaints about that. Now, the flip side is, as Chris B points out, they're going to enter the draft needing 7 starters, LMAO. As of right now, left tackle or left guard, center. Now, maybe you can talk yourself into TJ Bass over there, but he might need to be your right guard. So I think you still want somebody out there. So 2 offensive linemen, at least 1 running back. There's 3 players you're trying to fill starting spots in. Linebacker. Defensive tackle, as of right now, you have like 3 guys under contract. And corner, you've got 2 of your top 4 guys unsigned. Like, that's an issue to me. That concerns me. You know? Anxiety-inducing in the end. So, we'll talk some more Super Chat, some more news as things happen. But if you haven't already, got to check out Prize Picks. Go to prizepicks.com/CLNS and use code CLNS for a first deposit match up to $100. That link will be in the comment section and the description of today's show. It's prizepicks.com/CLNS and use code CLNS. You got daily fantasy options on NBA, college basketball, PGA Tour, UFC, which producer Chris is excited about talking about here momentarily for what he's doing, since he's the UFC guy and I am certainly not. You go to prizepicks.com/CLNS and use code CLNS for a first deposit match up to $100. Chris, what you got for Prize Picks here?
This is a big UFC card. I'm excited for it. It's just a UFC fight night, but Tai Tuivasa versus Marcin Tybura. I think I said his name right. This is going to be a banger. Both of these guys just go for knockouts. The more than less than is set at 10.5 minutes. That's basically 2 rounds. I think somebody's going to finish this in the first or second round via knockout. So I'm going the less than on that one. Brian Battle has not thrown 66 significant strikes in 5 of his last 6 fights. So I think he's going to try to grapple. So I'm going to go the less than on that one as well.
Seems like good insight there. Good insight.
Yeah.
PrizePicks.com/CLNS and use code CLNS for that first deposit match up to $100. I have no idea what Chris was talking about, but he seems to know it, so follow him. Links in the comments and the description of today's show. Some more super chats coming in. Let's hit one of these, then go to our menu today. From Zeno saying, watch them bring Zeke back at the vet minimum. I just think you can do better than that. I really do. Even for the vet minimum, maybe. Maybe he goes back to New England, but they did re-sign Antonio Gibson. So he was frankly just not the greatest. Let's go to our super chat menu here. Then we'll get to some more supers as these come in here. We've got a couple options today. Number 1, $10. You are into our Drew Pearson mini helmet entry. Bunch of 5s so far today. I'm not good enough at math to kind of figure out what the 5s versus the 10s are. So 10s only get you in. I'm not going to combine the 5s together. $50, you go in the Beer Bong Hall of Fame. We'll put your name or initials on the beer bong. We are all caught up on that front. The deal of the day is a $20 shot. We'll crack those open there. The Venmo 50/50 raffle will also be run at the end of today's live stream. Lance Dunbar's burner account is the first one to do that. He also said, would you trade for Tyler Algier? If I could get him for like one of my day 3 picks, I'm fully in. I think that takes care of my running back need. I don't know if the Falcons would do that because he's a solid player. They didn't really need Bijan Robinson necessarily. But if I can get him for a day 3 pick, yeah, I'm in. I don't know how reasonable that ends up being, though. More news here. The Falcons are signing Darnell Mooney, which this to me is confirming we've got a dropping dimes NFL version out there right now. We have a couple of those, and I'm going to put that in production at this stage because he has been on this earlier. So he's got all the money, all the numbers correct. He was the one who had the Brian Burns trade first. Other things he has mentioned today. He would anticipate Derrick Henry to the Ravens and think Calvin Ridley is going to go back to the Jags. So we have our new Droppin' Dimes 20 burner account. Let me put this in there. Put that in production for everybody. Because he was on Mooney to the Falcons like super early this morning. Before any of the other big insiders got it. Had the money down too before the everyone else did. So we'll check in on that here. Anyway, to recap here, $10 Drew Pearson mini helmet entry, $50 for the beer bong, $20 for a shot. The Venmo 50/50 raffle is just $10. Lance Dunbar's burner is already in there. From we don't wife these 304s, all Dak's fault when we lose. He, of course, is not being serious there. Rico will be the main back, most likely. You and Dan Cilio are my heroes. I'm just going to be nice. I have thoughts on Dan. We've engaged a couple times before. He has backed off of the I saw this posted on the internet, therefore it is true thing that he was doing for a while. He would do like the CBS suggests this is an idea here and this is going to happen. which he's now backed off on that, and he's much more relaxed overall there. But thank you. We don't wipe these 304s. I love his username. Douglas Shepard. I can't stand Jerry and Steven. We don't care, or why do we care so much than them? Makes me hate being a Cowboys fan, and I hate that. I get it. It is, they haven't done anything yet. They re-signed the long snapper. Was the one move today. In the first, we are almost to 24 hours. And the moves they have made are the long snapper. It's very unserious behavior. It all comes back down to this. What are they trying to do? Are they trying to win games now? Are they trying to set up a rebuild? If so, why are they keeping some older players and not moving them? If they're trying to win games now, why aren't they doing anything? If they are trying to play it down the middle and not do anything, that all makes some sense. You know? Marcus Arnold says, doesn't matter what you do at running back if the O-line isn't better. Zeke and Pollard were not the problem. Yeah, I think in general, yes. And this is why I want to sign other players and positions so that I can invest in the offensive line. Because my thought process and strategy is that the easiest path for this team to get better on the offensive line, when they don't want to spend money on expensive players in free agency, is to use the draft for that. You know, the market's not great along the offensive line. You can find linebackers, you can find maybe a veteran run stopper, you can find a cheap back, and invest your picks in the offensive line. So that's the route that I would prefer them do, because I agree. The offensive line and the scheme were massive issues. Massive issues for the Cowboys last year. At the one game, what was it? Tony Pollard had like 46 yards and 44 were after contact or something. That's not fair to the back. And I think you saw what the Titans gave Pollard is indicative of the team. The NFL thinks in general that, hey, it was Pollard. It was not Pollard's fault. That's not. I would agree. By the way, Marcus, you did win the February raffle for the Bobbly mini helmet. So please email me at tom@chatsports.com or DM me at whatgoingdowney. I commented on one of your old posts. You probably didn't see it because it's tricky to find those sometimes. So, but I knew you'd be in the live show at some point. So email me tom@chatsports.com so I can get your shipping info for that. GSE Phoenix Rain. They don't want to win. Our rivals are getting so much better. It's a wonder they don't beat the brakes off us during the regular season. I'm over it all. This is how a lot of Cowboys fans feel. Now, there will be some of the other outlets immediately like, oh, but they draft so well. Like, they'll just use the draft. Yes, they draft well. They have 3 top 150 picks. You can't do everything through the draft. And you know what else? Other NFL teams get a draft as well. Like, you can't not do a third of your job and say like, well, yeah, but, we've got this other part that we're really good at. Okay? They are great at building a 10-ish win team. Okay. John Holiday, $5. O-line could be first 2 picks in the draft. Jackson Powers from Johnson should be an upgrade. Can play center or running back. Instant upgrade. Still like Allen or Estime in the backfield. I get worried about finding a tackle in round 1. Maybe you could find a center in round 1 and a guard in round 2. Like Cooper Beebe would be a good pick for you. Plug him in at left guard. Put Towers with that left tackle. I'm down with that strategy. I think Estime could be a 5th-round pick, and Allen could be your 3rd-round pick. And I'm fine with that if you address your defense in free agency. You got 2 corners who are free agents, a couple defensive linemen up front, and you need a linebacker. Like, your realistic path can still be done, but you have to start doing things before the market's all gone. From Newman, 30. $10, a first-time super chat for Newman, so 2 claps for Newman, into the February super chat raffle for the signed Drew Pearson mini helmet. Signing a long snapper first is probably the most Cowboys thing they could do right now. It is ridiculous. Like, signing the long snapper was like, yes, this is going to happen. It makes sense. I have no complaints about it. You also have to do something else. And like, by the way, that is going to barely impact your salary cap space. I can pull up the number right now. Trent Sieg is going to count the vet minimum. He'll probably come in at just over $1 million, like 1.1 at most from that perspective. So that's going to take out one of your other cheaper vet minimum contracts, like Snoop Connor will no longer count there. So he will then drop down to $915K. And at that point, you've spent like basically not even like barely like $100,000 ish is all that you've lost in salary cap space. Doesn't do anything for you. It has not actually changed your outlook, and you would be able to still restructure obvious guys you need to do something with, and then move on from there. Chris B. Falcons gave Kirk $180 million and a wide receiver $39 million. We got a long snapper. Big-ish money for Darnell Mooney. $13 million a year. Not outlandish money for him if he plays better, but he was not. He kind of regressed. Like, I wouldn't have done that deal. So I don't want to spend. Like, the Falcons aren't paying their the Falcons aren't paying their offensive core playmakers anything. Mooney's their most expensive player now, outside of Kirk Cousins, obviously. Bijan, Algier, London, Pitts are all rookie contract deals. So that's an area that team could invest a little bit more in relative to others. The Cowboys, meanwhile, you aren't paying your linebackers anything. You aren't paying your defensive tackles anything. Your offensive line, if you lose Tyron Smith, and you're going to have the Zach Martin contract off the book soon too, paying Terrence Steele. Those are areas like you always want to balance your book, sure. Those are areas you can find a way to try to address, short-term, long-term. Now, if you want the Cowboys to sign a free agent today, like the video, should be every single person who's watching live right now should want them to sign somebody. And I think this will ultimately come down to similar stuff I've said in the past. By the way, we'll stick with the every 250 likes is a beer cheers. So we're past that first one if you hand me whatever beer was over there. Anyway, my suspicion is, thank you, Monster Unleashed alcohol. There's no caffeine in this, right? I'm pretty sure they made that illegal. Because that was the issue with the original Four Locos. The original Four Locos had caffeine in there too, and they were marketed as they were under a non-alcoholic category, and the government was like, no, or this is not okay, or this is gonna be a liquor. You're not gonna do that anymore, which they were right to do, by the way. Original Four Locos were a time. Anyway. Where was I? Beer cheers for $250. My suspicion is that the individual moves the Cowboys will make, I will have limited complaints about. Because they're not going to spend big money, so they're not going to lose big deals. But look at the overall picture of it, it's like, you didn't do much. That's been my complaint for several years in a row now, of individual signings. That's fine. That's fine. That's fine, that's fine, that's fine. And then you get to the overall status, it's like, well, wait a minute. All of these were like C's, how can I go above a C grade? Or like they're all a B, but like the sum of the parts is not very good. You know? It's like you're buying a car and you found some cheap doors, you're putting it all together, you found a good deal on tires, you've got decent seats in there. Oh shit, there's no engine. Like it kind of like it just doesn't work together in the end. Or it's like Mr. Potato Head and he doesn't have any eyes, so he can't see. So like, what's the point? Every 250 likes, we'll do a beer cheers for you guys here, and I can drink the pain away. Marcus, got your mailing address. Thank you, my friend. I'll get that shipped out to you. I have not shipped out that of the jersey yet. That's going to wait till after free agency. It's been a bit of a hellish week for me. So I'll get it shipped out, though, in the not-too-distant future. Marcus should arrive first, by the way. We don't wipe these 304s. Hillis has a 4-hour show now where he tops Philly. Funny. It's funny. Appreciate that. We don't wipe these 304s. Let's run through some of the other moves that have happened in the last 12-ish, give or take, hours. Maybe more like 15 hours. Commanders got a kicker. Damian Lewis got $453 from the Panthers. The guard market is exploding. John Simpson gets 2 years, $18 million from the Jets. That's going to replace Lincoln Tomlinson. I still think they're going to be in the market for, maybe a Tyron Smith. I didn't think what they would like to do is put Elijah Vera Tucker back in at guard, put Joe Tippmann in at center, Simpson at left guard, find a veteran left tackle, and draft a right tackle like Fuaga. Be my guess of what they want to do. Nick Allegretti going to Washington as well. The Commanders had all the salary cap space available. I am not surprised they're spending big. We'll see if this is different than all the other times the Commanders had all the salary cap space available and spent big. The Jets, 2 deals. Javon Kinlaw, 1 year. We'll see about the money there. That's a lot of connections between that Niners staff that was there and the Jets staff that's there now, so that certainly makes sense. Tyrod Taylor, kind of love him as a backup quarterback, actually. I think that's a good move there by the Jets. It's kind of like at this stage, like what I'm hoping that Trey Lance can become. If you get for this team in particular, if you get a Tyrod Taylor backup, that's probably a good thing. I think you have to adjust your expectations at the stage. It's not what the Niners wanted him to be, but I think that's doable. He can run and throw some deep balls. Kenneth Murray got 2 years, $15.5 from the Titans. Wow. He was better this year, but not very good. So Murray, I think that's more than what Eric Kendricks is going to get. I'm looking at that $5 million max range for a linebacker. Maybe it ends up being 3, but who knows. Sam Darnold, a 1-year, $10 million deal to be the new Vikings stopgap option. If they don't draft somebody, which I think they will still. I don't know how Sam Darnold keeps making this stuff happen. He's literally never been good. Over the more than a 3-game sample size, he's literally never been good. It's just insane to me. Daquan Jones, that was on my defensive tackle target list. 2 years, $16.5 million for him. Again, out of the Cowboys' price range. TBD on Darius Williams. Allegedly a 3-year deal. That one's worth monitoring. John Parker Romo goes to the Vikings as a kicker. The Vikings also got Aaron Jones. 1 year, $7 million for him, which, as we've learned, might be almost double what the Cowboys want to pay you back this year. Would have had interest there. Cleveland Ferrell to the Commanders. Some overlap there with some of the coaching staff, too. Adam Peters was there in San Francisco, now coaches Ferrell. Matt Hennessy. I like that deal. Now, I think for Hennessy, you're probably covered off with your own Hennessy-esque players in T.J. Bass and Brock Hoffman, but I think that's a solid move for Philadelphia. Delshon Phillips, whatever. Marcus Mariota's a Commander now. He continues his NFC East tour. Giants next year, Cowboys later. Can knock them all out. Jameis Winston, 1-year deal up to 8.7 with Cleveland. I am going to continue to do my trolling, half-serious bit of the Browns' back quarterback is better than their starter. I'm going to keep that one going. Trent Sieg, he's back. 1-year vet minimum. Cowboys did something. No, they did. Mike Gesicki, 1 year up to 3.25 for the Bengals. They find a move tight end. Joe Mixon was traded to the Houston Texans. Still no details on that front. This might end up being just a pick swap, frankly. We'll see about that, but more than the Cowboys would have paid him. So Mixon goes there. Shaq Barrett, a 1-year deal up to $9 million with Miami. And Nyheim Hines, who we'll see about his medicals, 1 year up to 3.5 with Cleveland. Again, the running back market has moved quickly, and the market is getting limited and more limited as we go forward. Darnell Mooney, Falcons, 3 years, $39 million. And then third-string running back Dearness Johnson has re-signed with Jacksonville as well. So some movement there and not a whole lot else. And the Cowboys still waiting. King Timo says, original Four Loko was called Cracking a Can in Philly. Jerry and Steve must be chugging them heavy this week. What was what the original Four Loko details were here? Original Four Loko was 12% alcohol and 156 milligrams of caffeine. So to put that in perspective, it was 4 beers and 2 Red Bulls in a can. That is why it was banned. Turns out you can't mix stimulants with alcohol. That was not... the government was like, no, you can't do that. That is not okay. The new Four Loko does not have caffeine in it. That's why it's cracking a can, man. You were drinking a 20-ounce and had 4 beers and 2 Red Bulls at once. That was a wild time to be alive. There were some medical issues that resulted as a result. Aiden Morales says, go Seahawks. Tyler Jones, a better host at Chat Sports. The Seahawks also done anything in free agency. You really signed Leonard Williams, and you brought back Noah Fant. Seattle, I think, will do some stuff, by the way. But appreciate having you here, Aiden, although I will dispute that Tyler's better than. You type in FTJ in the comments if you want to have some fun. And then Aiden, go tell Tyler to type in FTD on his show. Reza, it is so frustrating watching these idiots who are running the Cowboys blow the damn thing up because we're not going to win more than 6 games. I think you will absolutely win more than 6 games this year. Now, I think that in the end it might only be like 10, but you're going to win more than 6 games. You have too many good players still on your roster. Micah, Tank, Martin, Dak, Lamb, etc. Diggs when he's healthy. Like, you'll win more than just 6 games. But you're not going to win a Super Bowl. Like, if the Cowboys do nothing again in free agency, you're not... Clearly, this team isn't good enough right now. I don't think the coaching is good enough. Performance in the playoffs is not good enough. They're not a bad team, but they're not good enough. So how do you get better? You do free agency. You upgrade your roster because you kind of just ran it back with your coaching staff. And if you run it back with the roster, why would there be any faith to think it'll be different this time? Why? But it just doesn't. It's not feasible. Double J 2288. Stephen A is fighting with Tad Prescott. Sometimes I wish the Cowboys family would just log off. Just log off. I think Micah's online too much. I think his brother's online sometimes too much. Lamb's mom's online too much. And like, it's amplified because it is the Cowboys in the end. Tad's comments have always been very clear. Like, he doesn't like the way that the fan base treats Dak, and I get that. Tad has seen some very messed up things before, like in his mentions. I get why he does that. Now, that's not to say that it's reflective of the entire fan base. That's why, like, sometimes just logging off is easier. Like, is it really worth it? Like, if social media bullying is bad, just log off, though. Like, if you don't like the comments, no one's forcing you to have it on your phone anymore. That would always be my advice. Like, if it bothers you, I get it. So just ignore it. Just don't. No one's clockwork oranging your eyes open to have you read mean tweets. You know. Marcus Arnold, $5, playing 2 bad teams division and 5 to 6 bad teams outside the division. Has the Jones thinking they're doing a good job? The Cowboys are mediocre. I would say they're still better than mediocre. They're good. They're a good team. If you're power ranking teams, they're going to be in the top 10 somewhere. But that doesn't mean it's good enough, you know? They're better than mediocre. Like, the Saints are kind of in firm mediocre territory right now. But I think that what is the goal? Is the goal to win a championship? If so, they're not doing enough. If the goal is to rebuild, they're not doing it right. If the goal is to just win 10 games, they're probably fine. But why is that the goal? You know? More supers to come, and maybe some more news at some point as well from across the NFL. Today's show is made possible by Prize Picks. Go to prizepicks.com/CLNS and use code CLNS for a first deposit match up to $100. That link will be in the comment section and the description of today's show. You'll see in that middle graphic there, by the way, you see that the Demons and the Goblins. These are different payouts and different Prize Picks points. The Demons are harder to get with a higher payout. The Goblins are easier to get with a lower payout. Go to prizepicks.com/CLNS and use code CLNS for a first deposit match up to $100. The link will be in the comments section and the description of today's show. Here are my prize picks for the PGA Tour Players Championship on Thursday over at Sawgrass. I got it in as more than 4.5 Scotty Scheffler birdies. When I checked last night, it's up to 5, by the way. Matthew Fitzpatrick, less than 4 birdies. He's not been playing so great. More than Shane Lowry birdies at 4. He's been playing well. And I like the way Justin Thomas, maybe he's back, knock on wood. 4.5 birdies, I like the more than there as well. PrizePicks.com/CLNS and use code CLNS for a $100 first deposit match. Links in the comments and the live chat of today's show as well. The Super Chat menu, $10 Drew Pearson mini helmet. It's a signed Drew Pearson mini helmet. Up to $10. We'll wrap it off at the end of the month. So check that out. Get your $10 only. I'm not going to combine. It's too complicated. $50 for the Beer Bong Hall of Fame. I'll chug a beer bong out of it. And I'll be honest, I could use one right now. I really could. $20 for a shot. And the Venmo 50/50 raffle is ongoing. So far, just Lance Dunbar's burner is in. $10 at What Going Downey to get you into that. We'll be at the end of today's stream. The Great Duke Bothers. I feel like the front office is setting Dak and McCarthy up for failure this year. Could they both be one and done if they suck again? The playing part is like, I assume you mean suck in the playoffs? It's like they haven't actually sucked. The year Dak got hurt, the team was bad. There were a lot of injuries too. They've never actually been bad. Like 10, 12 wins are not bad seasons, you know? It's not good enough. That's the issue. Like, also Earl Thomas, a drink, you know? Like, I think that if this team doesn't get better, maybe not even setting up for failures the right word, but setting them up for more of the same. And that's not good enough. And if we want to judge pass-fail, and passing is getting to the conference championship game, then yeah, they're going to fail. Ecuador, man, mediocre QB, mediocre draft picks, mediocre team. I think I disagree with all of that, frankly. Not good enough is fine, but like mediocre is like, hey, they're around league average. None of those things are true overall. Now, the draft class last year was well below mediocre. Overall, they draft pretty well, especially when they don't let, the coaches get too far involved there. They draft well. They're bad in free agency. They don't do anything. Maybe they are mediocre in trades, frankly. Maybe that's their mediocre spot there. They draft well. They have a top 10 quarterback. I think they've got a maybe mediocre head coach. Maybe he's about league average there. But you don't win 12 games 3 years in a row by being mediocre. Now, the playoff results have been profoundly mediocre. But again, we've already moved the goalposts pretty far if we're already cutting off over half the league, Zeno saying a $5 super chat. What do you think are the odds the only reason the Cowboys have not extended Dak is because this is going to be his last chance or he's gone? I'm trying to read the tea leaves here, right? And the tea leaves I gather are a couple fold. And this is based on the reporting that's been done for people who are smarter than me, etc. The Cowboys like Dak Prescott. They continue to publicly and privately say that they believe in him. The issue is they don't want to set the market at quarterback. And they seem to think that by waiting next year, they will get a better deal. Just not true. Okay, so I see what Ecuador Man's doing. More on that in a second. I think at the end, this team is making the exact same mistake that they made last time. If they had gotten the Dak Prescott deal done with urgency the first time, they wouldn't have had the no tag clause. They wouldn't have had the no trade clause. They would have gotten him done earlier at a cheaper per year rate. And this time around, it already would have been taken care of. They would have done it, a year, 2 years ago, whatever. And it would have been at a much cheaper rate. Because the quarterback market only goes up. And I think Dak's got one more contract of that being the case. And then it's probably going to fall off a little bit more, relative to, the number going up. But Kirk's numbers kept going up somehow, which is kind of crazy at a different scale. So I think it is that it's not that they're trying to make it boom or bust for Dak. It's that they're just bad at it. That concerns me. Ecuador man meant in the draft order, mediocre picks. Fully agree on that one. Heck, maybe even, let me see if I can do total trade. Let me see if I can find like a list of like who's got the fewest total trade value by team. I can't find it. But their draft capital is pretty light. If you're like stacking the rankings or everything, it might even be a bit below overall trade value there, or like pure value since there's no 4th round pick. But yeah, I totally agree there, Ecuador man. Dwayne Jackson, $20. It's shot time. Let's go. If we lose again in the divisional round, Mike gets fired. Another coach comes in. Then the same cycle of mediocre and excuses. There's a coach out there that will challenge the Jonas' antiquated way of thinking. Oh, there absolutely are. But would they hire that guy? And I think, frankly, Will McClay gets blame here too. They like the way things are set up. They are comfortable. NFL general, like the top level organizations, they don't like change unless they feel some urgency. No one in this urgency beyond your head coach and players right now feel urgency. None of them. Steven's not going to get fired. Will McClay's got the greatest job security ever. And his job he does fairly well. But there's no urgency there. And a little bit of urgency goes a long way when everybody else has it. Again, this team does a great job of building a good football team. That should not be the goal and the bar. It should be do more than that. And they lack the urgency to do that aggression. When other teams are aggressive and they can draft well too, and they've got good rosters too, and they've got better coaching staffs than you, how are you closing that gap? They've got top 10 quarterbacks too, or in some cases, better quarterbacks than you. How are you closing that gap? Cheers. Brett, is this really still a good team, though, Tom? We lost 3 starters. Rico's our only RB. We think over the league minimum equals too much for anyone. I think that's I think that's their goal. I will also say this. I know it is very frustrating. There's been no moves yet. They will make moves. They will. They've got something like 40 roster spots to fill. They will fill them. They will do it. But it's not going to be a splashy move. Frankly, I would be stunned if they don't sign at least a linebacker and a running back. I think that will happen. I'll be stunned if it does not. It just doesn't make any sense. My issue, though, is are they going to be a better team than they were last year, at least on paper? I don't think so. Aiden Morales, do you know if the Seahawks are going to have a live? Respect for being on the channel on right now, but Ty Jones for president. Appreciate that, Aiden. I think Seattle is going to go live if something happens. I think that's the plan for the Seahawks channel. But TBD on that one, Aiden. Scott, $10 into our signed Drew Pearson mini helmet giveaway with very little action right now across the NFL. Still nothing going on. Who do you think, or you would think with getting knocked out in the wild card round of the Packers that they would give us something to get excited about, but no. I would agree. Again, the bar is so low for this Cowboys team that they could sign a deal, a 1-year, $8 million deal, a 2-year, $16 million deal with $10 million guaranteed, and we would all lose our collective minds because it would be the biggest free agency signing in like a decade. Like Cedric Thornton got, I have this saved. Let me go pull this up here. I have this saved. Greg Hardy got 1 year like 8, I think. Let me see if I can find this here. So, guaranteed money in the last, since the Derek Carr deals. Greg Hardy got $8 million, and up to 11, but only got 8 in the end. Gerald McCoy got $9 million, but the injury clause that was used in his contract dropped it down to $3 million. So that doesn't really count there. Cedric Thornton got $9 million in 2016, and he lasted like a year. So like you do that 2-year, $16 million deal, $8 million bucks. Thornton was like, I don't know, it was overpay, frankly. Be close to your biggest contract in a decade. In a decade. Like, it's kind of crazy. Hunter M. Hey, Tom. With the Jones boys running the show and never making any moves in free agency, can we realistically expect to make a deep playoff run? Talent on this team bails out the coaching, in my opinion. I would agree on that front. And no, I don't. Like, it would require some luck going your way, or this team being locked in for a actual playoff game where they haven't been. They've even, and this is probably my biggest issue with Dak in the playoffs, that offense always starts slow. Some of these big games, he's too amped. That's why he misses some guys high. Then he settles in. It happened in the Tampa playoff game too. Like, the offense was kind of iffy the first couple drives. The defense actually did their job to start, though. And then the offense figured it out, and they lit up the scoreboard, and it was great. Now, that Packers playoff game, the first one, they almost came back and won. Offense started slow. Seahawks playoff game, offense a little bit slow. But something other than just the passing game showed up. In most of those playoff games, the Niners have always been the big-time exception. The passing game normally shows up eventually, and even enough to win the game. The defense has issues pretty consistently, and the run game has always been bad. It's like, I would focus on fixing those things, and they haven't. That's very frustrating. The Great Duke Bothers. Would it be surprised the Cowboys went up in the draft for a better first-round pick? Would it even be possible? Possible, yes. Would I be surprised? Also, yes. They are light on draft capital, and they have a lot of needs. I would guess that a trade down, depending on how the board falls, might make a little bit more sense for them. GSE Phoenix Rain. Let me add him to the $10 super chat here. I got to also make sure I put Hunter M in there. By the way, $10 Venmo raffle, 50-50 split the pot. I got Scott in there, yeah. If I type in GSE Phoenix Rain's name correctly, that would be helpful too. There we go. Let me make sure there's no more Venmos at this time. Swipe away on those because I got Twitter and Facebook alerts that I just don't care about. And my Bengals fans, family, group chatting about the Joe Mixon trade. Yeah, it's a good deal, Dad. You guys get to do stuff. Congrats. Get rid of Gallup and get Higgins. Takes care of wide receiver. If no moves than this, build during the draft, fill all holes of need. For God's sake, stop being afraid to beat up your opponents. I agree with the last part there. You can't get Higgins, though, without giving up your first. So, and you're got to pay him $25 million. So by doing that, I'm kind of taking out my big salary cap money available for the way they want to spend money, and I'm taking out my top draft asset. So I don't think that's a very feasible or even a good idea, frankly, for Dallas. I'm down to build to the draft, but I've got too many needs right now. Like, I got to do something in free agency, and I would love to fill all of my needs, even on a lower level, in free agency, so I can just draft the best player on the board. Right now, Dallas does not have that luxury or ability to do so. From Caden, this team stresses me out in the offseason more than they do in season. That's not how it's supposed to be. Offseason is supposed to be a fun time of like, look at what we're doing. Look at what we did. Yay. Cowboys, long snapper. Mike Bullard, you ever stop to consider Dak is wanting to wait? It would mean more money for him. You're right. And it is also the team's responsibility to not have the player wait. Like if the Cowboys aren't going to pick up the phone and make the calls, which is their issue with every free agent, they have already allowed the info to leak that they are not the ones making calls. They're letting players and agents call them. So if you're not showing the urgency to do stuff, how is this going to work properly? You know? Like I know Todd France would love to get Dak to the open market. I know he would. Because Todd France could put that feather in his cap. I got the largest quarterback contract in history twice. Because there would be a huge bidding war for Dak Prescott. Like I know honestly, he might be a Bronco in 2025. Sean Payton, the background that I know is that when the Cowboys finally paid Dak, Sean Payton had called them and said, "Are you guys going to do that? If not, can I trade for him?" Then they paid Dak. They let the market set themselves again. When it comes to your best players, CeeDee Lamb falls in this category. Micah Parsons falls in this category. Tyler Smith will fall in this category. If you want to win the deal, you actually have to set the market first. Because otherwise, the longer you wait, the more it goes up. So it's up to the team's responsibility to not let them wait. Because the players know this too. When it goes for them, they're going to get cut. The Cowboys paid Michael Gallup, and he's going to get cut. And they should cut him because the players have the responsibility to themselves, team has responsibility to themselves to make things work best for them. And that's why you as an organization have to be better when it comes to contracts. Dwayne Jackson. Were you surprised the trade went for another 2-day picks, day 3 picks? If you were the Cowboys, you made the Judy trade. I probably wouldn't have. Judy has not been great in Denver. It could be a bit of a powder as well. If Judy was cheaper, yes. But I don't think, and I don't want to, frankly, pay wide receiver 2 or 3 or target 3 with, you want to put Fergie in there above him, which I think is fair, $12 million or whatever it is. That's not, I think if you're going to do anything, just draft a guy on day 2. And that's going to be a much more cost-effective usage. And go spend your money on defense, linebacker, D-line, running back, whatever. From Roman Wolf Gaming, did Derrick Henry sign with the Ravens? As always. Nothing official at this time on Derrick Henry. Quite a bit of buzz on the Ravens. That is not new either in terms of just where things sit with Derrick Henry, but we shall see on that front there. I'm looking at the alleged new version. You guys remember the Dropping Dimes 20 NBA leaker who had all the information? Looks like Minnesota in play for J.J. McCarthy. Denver in the mix for Fields or McCarthy. Let's see what else we got here. Let's see. He had moved to the Falcons. Sounds like Calvin really to Jacksonville at some point, but he had also mentioned Ravens for Henry. Is like, so did everybody else out there. So it wouldn't be a surprise in the end. Chris Beat, Eagles, Niners, Lions, Rams, Packers, all better. Atlanta, Seattle are close. I assume you mean better than Dallas. And I would probably agree with this. Maybe you put Tampa in that range as well. And that's like, and everyone else fear you. And even like Seattle, I don't think they're that good. I think you should be able to beat them. Falcons, I think you're still better than if you do something in free agency. But that's still like 6 seed, 7 seed. Not sure you're better than the Eagles. Eagles might fall apart too, but like they're at least doing things. Julian, most logical way to create cap space beyond the Dak Prescott deal? Fantastic question, my friend. I will run you through these options for Dallas that are fairly straightforward, very doable, very feasible. Right now, you're at around $3 million in cap space, give or take. You can extend CeeDee Lamb, and you can give CeeDee Lamb whatever you want. He's in his 5th-year option. You'll get that money down way, way lower. You have him under contract long-term. That'll save you $13 million, give or take. Now, that would require you to do it ASAP. I don't think they've talked with Lamb yet, which is wild to me. Now, that one's a bit more complicated. You can do some restructures as well. Trayvon Diggs isn't going to get cut in the near future, so you should always restructure those guys. That saves you $7.8 million. You've already restructured Zach Martin. You will eventually cut, that's going to be post-June 1st money to pay your draft class, so ignore that. If you wanted to, now first off, Right now, those would alone get you $24 million. Even if you don't do the CeeDee Lamb deal, you're still at, 11 to 12. If you wanted to restructure others, which I don't know if this team wants to do, you could restructure Terrence Steele. That's just under $5 million. His not so great last year might give you pause on that front. You could restructure Brandon Cooks if you wanted to. Again, not sure they want to. You could restructure Donovan Wilson. Those moves, with Lamb included, would get you to $36.3 million of money to spend. Now, push the money off in the future. You have $90 million in cap space next year with the third most players under contract. You're fine. If you wanted to eventually have Leighton Vander Esch retire, that will save you $2 million as well. If you had to, you could cut the backup quarterback Cooper Rush. You could cut the punter and save $5+ million there. So if you wanted to, you could get to $40 million without touching Dak Prescott's deal. Now, they won't, but 20 is very doable for this team. It's not that hard. It's a matter of they don't want to. And they will tell you that they can't. It's like Olivia to me when she wants to watch Bluey for the 10th time at 7:30 at night. Like, no, Olivia, we're going to go to bed. I tell her that the TV is charging. It's obviously not. I just turned it off. And she knows how to turn it on now, but she believes it. She goes, "Oh, okay, it's charging." I'm not being honest with her. It's that I don't want the TV on. She's had enough screen time today. She gets plenty enough as it is, which I'm actually, parenting note, I'm actually fine with it. Her whole life's going to be a screen. It's fine. That's how her generation is going to be. She's going to have a screen for everything she does. I don't care about it as much. But, it's bedtime. We're not going to watch Bluey again. So the TV has to charge. It's the excuse I use to hide the fact that I just don't want her to. From Rostar Sports, another shot. Let's go. I tell her it's charging, King Trill, because she knows that phones and laptops charge. So I just tell her the TV has to charge too. I believe the Cowboys will make the first splash in the draft after Trey Benson. Bottoms up. Do you believe that Jackson Powers-Johnson Oregon is a good pickup in the draft at center? Yeah, I would love to get Jackson Powers-Johnson on this team. Now, Pittsburgh and Seattle ahead of you also have needs at center that stand out, and maybe he goes off the board before that ends up happening. Jackson Powers-Johnson was about as flawless as you'll find in terms of some of the advanced metrics and the stats from Pro Football Focus. That stands out to me. I would have interest there. It's not a guarantee. And by the way, sub 1,000-yard rusher out of Florida State as your splash in the draft, is that really a splash? I'd be fine with it. If Benson's there in round 2 and you filled all your other needs, yeah, I'm in. He'll probably be a top 50-ish player for me. It's a great athlete. That's not really a splash to me. Who knows? Thomas Palmer. What's up with Gilmore? I thought re-signing him would be a no-brainer. There's a lot of guys that still aren't signed on this team and others too. Still no Tyron Smith market, which is noteworthy. Stands out pretty impactfully. Other guys remain unsigned. Jordan Lewis too. He was never going to be a wave 1 player. He was always going to be kind of a wave 2, wave 3. And the cornerback market too is pretty quiet. Kendra Fuller is unsigned. He's one of the top guys this year. The cornerback market hasn't begun to move. And I think Gilmore is going to weigh some options and see what he can get and where he can go to. Crispy, any news on Hunter, Armstead, teams or rumors? No, also pretty quiet. I would argue 2 of the better free agents left unsigned. Now, maybe the Niners trying to find a way to keep Armstead, whatever. I think Armstead wants big money and might not be finding it yet, which could be an issue for him. But I think some patience there. And I think Hunter, when his void deals, I don't know if he's even able to in his void dealing, able to talk with teams technically, but he'll find somebody. Chris B. Cowboys won't even spend in 25 when they have 90 million. Look, a lot of that's going to go to other players. A lot of that's going to go to CeeDee Lamb. They'll pick up the Micah Parsons, which is already planned, pick up fifth-year option, which I think is counted already in the 90 million. They'll do something with the quarterback, which, by the way, if you pay the quarterback, his cap hit will probably be about the same. It's already counting against you. And now he's under contract. It's just dumb. You'll have to replace a guard, a defensive end. Like you'll have to do things, but you're going to draft 7 players, and now you have 50 players under contract. Not all of them make the team. That's fine, but I don't know why they're so worried about all that salary cap space when they're fine. The dead money's a lot, sure, but they have cap space. They're not paying anybody big money in 2025. There's nobody big on the books for them. The biggest one is Prescott under contract. Beyond that, you're going to move on from Gallup and take off his big number. You will do something with Terrence Steele by that time frame. And then beyond that, it's we got one guy under contract for more than $8 million next year. You're not paying anybody. Why are they worried about it? It doesn't make sense. It really doesn't. I'm so confused by it all. It's just weird. And look, you'll have Lamb too. That's fine. There's one big contract. The Tank contract's off your books. The Martin contract might be off your books, in terms of actually paying them active money. So what's the issue? It doesn't make any sense to me. It's like they're just staring down at the dead money and oh my God, it's so much. So, to put this in perspective, but by the way, the Cowboys seemingly want to make it people think that they're if you look at over the cap, it's actually $97 million, by the way. Different numbers. The Cowboys want to make you feel we're the Saints. The Saints have the same number of players under contract as you, and they're $64 million over the cap. That's a bad cap position. That's what the Cowboys want you to think they're looking at in 2025. They're fine in 2025. It's not going to be a big issue. They'll have to do some stuff, sure, but they're fine. They're fine. Eric Thomas, first time super chat, 2 claps for Eric. Thank you, Eric. Dwayne Jackson, thoughts on Tez Walker, 5th round if he's there? I am in. I don't think he gets there. He might not make it. That's Devontae Walker at a UNC wide receiver. Remember to do that. I think he goes to the board in the 3rd round, which I got issues with him, some consistency stuff, drops, etc. But it brings you speed. Probably going to be around a 3rd round grade for me. Love him in the 5th. Would be surprised if he's there. You might not get to your 3rd round pick. A shot. Liquor before beer. By the way, we are less than 50 likes away from another beer cheers, too. We got our guy, Sig. Next splash play, we'll re-sign our punter. All in, baby. The punter will cost more on the salary cap this year than that running back, Zach Moss, you thought was too expensive. The punter. Come on. Unserious behavior. He's a good punter, by the way. He's a really good punter. But he's a punter. GSC Phoenix Rain back again. JPJ will be our best pick and center since Travis Frederick retired. We need to build our line back to where it was, if not better. We need actual linebackers. I think center in particular, I really want to get better there. I think Jackson Powers Johnson could do that. I would be very, very happy from that perspective. I'd be a happy camper. You do need actual linebackers. Sign somebody. By the way, Duncan in Connecticut, Super Chats aren't working. If the Super Chats aren't working for you, you can always do Venmo at WhatGoingDowney. This is a 20, so I'll do a shot for it there. Happy to have you back here, Duncan. He says, Cowboys never do anything. I don't know why I choose to root for this team. I hate this team because they hate us. They hate happiness. They hate winning. They're losers. I've missed you guys in the streams. Hate this team. DC for life. We will be upset together, Duncan. Cheers. Oh, boy. I'm going to need you to take one of these here. That's a lot in a row here. Jason, a $20 super chat. I know this will never happen, but trade up for JPJ. Second round is a linebacker. Third rounder is Braylon Allen instead of Derrick Henry. I'm tired of Dallas in the playoffs. Let's do something. Trading up is tough to get, to keep your second and your third, but I mean, I think that that's still in the range of outcomes possibility. I'll be okay, Chris. I'm going to do them both. I'm going to be a man. I think JPJ, linebacker, Allen, sure. I don't know what you're going to do at tackle, left tackle / left guard. That's kind of an issue for me. But I would be fine with that draft. And that's kind of almost what I did in one of the mock drafts, by the way. So I think that would be a smart decision for the Cowboys. Now, would they do it? Who knows? So cheers to you, my friend. One more. Woo! And James Windsor, what are your thoughts on Bo Limmer if they choose not to go O-line in round one? I don't know if he goes third, fourth, or fifth, but somewhere in the range. That is the Arkansas center, by the way. I think that could make some sense. Pursue that path. But I don't know what they'll end up doing there at center. I think Limmer could certainly be an option for them. Cheers. Today's show is made possible by Prize Picks. Go to prizepicks.com/CLNS and use code CLNS for that first deposit match up to $100. Link will be in the comment section, plus the description of today's show. Prize Picks offers some fun features, including the Demons and the Goblins. The Demons are harder to win. Higher Prize Picks projections. If you hit them, though, bigger payout. If you go with the Goblin, it's easier to hit. A lower payout. You can do more than or less than on 2 to 6 player stat projections. Watch those winnings roll in and come out on top. You got NBA, college basketball, PGA Tour, esports, and UFC. Producer Chris, what do you have for me today on the UFC side of things?
Yeah, we got a really good fight this weekend. Tai Tuivasa versus Marcin Tybura. These guys are absolute bangers. They're going to be going for the knockout. So I'm going less than 10.5 minutes. I think somebody's going to get this finished in the first or second round. And then Brian Battle versus Ange Lusa. Brian Battle hasn't thrown 66 significant strikes in his last 5 out of 6. I think he's going to grapple a lot. Let's see, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 of his last fights have gone 3 or less rounds. I don't think he's going to get 66 significant strikes in that time frame, so I'm going to go less than on both of them.
Okay. I have no idea what you're talking about, so I'm just going to trust Chris on that. I'm not into the
I
UFC
got into
thing.
UFC a lot during COVID. It was the only sport going on, so, I mean, the UFC really took over for me. And we got 3-4 more cards, I think, until UFC 300. That one's going to be a banger. I'm so excited for that.
If you say so. PrizePicks.com/CLNS and use code CLNS for a first deposit match up to $100. Links in the comment section and the description of today's show. By the way, the Cowboys actually tweeted out the Trent Sieg signing, which I was kind of surprised that they did. So I'm going to see if I can ratio them. I've done it before. I said all in is my response. They might get ratioed. I'm actually surprised that they left the comments on for that. I kind of thought the social team might turn it off, and I wouldn't blame them at all. I mean, I would jokingly blame them on social media, but have some fun there. By the way, Adam Schefter reporting what we had mentioned, that the Patriots want Calvin Ridley, but he is trying to go back to Jacksonville. So that pretty Ricky 213 account seems to have some good info out there. He has said nothing on the Cowboys, by the way. So Derrick Henry allegedly has a $6.5 million offer from the Baltimore Ravens. So would you beat that deal for the Ravens and give him a $7 million a year deal? Y for yes, N for no. Get those answers in for me in the comments section. I'm going to sip some water. Feeling those shots a little bit here. Y for yes, N for no. As a reminder, we need 2 more entries into the Venmo 50/50 raffle to run that. At What Going Downey, we've got 10 from Lance Dunbar's burner account in there right now. So we need 10 more, or 2 more 10s to run at the end of today's live stream, which probably will sign off by 4 Eastern-ish, give or take. But TBD on what else happens that might delay or not delay that, whatever. So 10 more, or 2 more 10s to run that 50/50 raffle. Mostly yes is on the Derrick Henry side. 7 is on the upper end of what I would be okay paying him, but it's fine. Like, it gets it done. It's not an all-in splash move. You have to still fix your offensive line, but Derrick Henry is not King Henry anymore. I'm not saying he's bad, but his numbers have, at his age, at his workload, you get worried about, like, okay, how much does he really have left in the tank? He was, however, the exception. Of all those running back contracts given out, Derrick Henry was the one who made it work. He made it all the way through with no pay cuts, no trades, no cuts, etc. He has consistently made it through. That has been the one thing that Derrick Henry has done in his time that has been very impressive to me. Like, he has been the exception to the rule of those second contracts don't work. A third contract is scary for teams in a depressed running back market. So, if they're not going to go to 4 for Zach Moss, which is the cap hit would have been less than they were going to pay the punter, I have doubt that they would go to 7 for Derrick Henry. Maybe it dips down to 6 or 5 and they have more interest there. Derrick Henry has signed a 2-year, $16 million deal with the Baltimore Ravens. So would you have done that deal? 2 years, $16 million, up to $20 million with the Baltimore Ravens. So they upped the offer a little bit then, allegedly, to $8 million a year. Derrick Henry to Baltimore. I'm going to do a little tweet here. They were never going to do it. They were never going to do $8 million for Derrick Henry. Not a chance they would have done that. Let's go to Primus Super Chat here. After the last 2 years, how do we beat the 49ers? You get better. They're a better team than you. And if you're not going to do anything in free agency, how are you going to get better? You can't just draft because everybody has the draft. And most teams do stuff in free agency. Like, it's not really feasible. I will say, I am completely unsurprised that he is a Raven, that Derrick Henry is going up to Baltimore. Like, that was a heavy buzz of the combine. Like, he's going to be over at with the Ravens. You know? Chris B, Catboy's dream is a full UDFA 53-man roster squad. Cheap team, to be honest. I will, or baby, he actually meant. I will say, this is a team that spends near the bottom of the cash minimums. So they actually have to spend more cash than all UDFAs. Like, they would literally have to spend more than that. Otherwise, it's just not. There. By the way, I ran the NFL PA's numbers, which were different significantly than the SPO-Track numbers, but I think they were counting. They were doing something different with like dead money and restructured counting of like into the future. I'm not really sure what it was they were doing. But the NFL PA, I think it's more like active cash spending. Cowboys were third fewest in the NFL. If you do the SPO-Track numbers, they were right about league average. So best case, they are okay in spending. Worst case, they're very cheap. I think it has to do with dead money in particular because the Saints were like near the bottom of the NFL PA number and at the top of the overall money, and I think it has to do with dead money, I think. Justin, Tom, this team is really stressing me out. How do we make it better? Make me the owner. Where is it? Hold on. Let me give some shout outs here, Chris. I'm gonna find the petition we have. Let me see if I can find it.
Get in the comments right now, guys. Would you guys have signed Derrick Henry for $8 million a year? Y for yes, N for no.
It's in the chat here. Oh, it's too long. I mean, it's too long.
Z says yes. I think you can only do like 200 characters.
Yeah, but it was just a link. There it is. Sign the petition.
Domingo says yes. Moises says yes.
Make me Cowboys owner. That's how you make this team better. You let me run it. And I'll crowdsource my first round pick. I'll do a poll on the live stream. Who do you want to pick? And then I'll override it. Could you imagine if that's how a team did it? Justin, I understand the stress. Derrick Henry, $8 million. It was never. It's one of those things that like I was never. I'm gonna push to the next one here. I'm not like bent out of shape over these bigger deals because I knew that they're not going to go above 8. Like I figured Derrick Henry would get at least 7 or 8. That just wasn't going to be their price range. So I never I know he bought the house in Dallas. People freaked out. I'm like, guys, he's lived there for 3 years. Like he was never going to go down that path of settling for the $5 million the Cowboys would have offered him. I just don't buy it. $10 from Geraldo Neary into our into the Venmo raffle. So we are 1 away from running that guaranteed at the end of today's show. Otherwise, I'll put in 10 of my own. The rules are, if I win, I have to win twice. Because I would rather send it to somebody else and give more money to a fan than the Cowboys going to an outside free agent. Be awesome. But if I win it twice, so be it. Also ignore it silences the "it's rigged" complaints. I would hope. Although it's always rigged for somebody, whenever it is. It's always Chris's fault, right? Franklin, so pissed off. I hate Jerry with passion. Croak. It's not what people die. That's the line. Anything sort of death is fine. Also, it's not Jerry, it's Steven. That is the monkey paws curl scenario. Steven's the one running the show. It ain't going to get better. From Bashteo, do you think we will re-sign Cooks? So I'm not taking a shot here, but Brandon Cooks is not a free agent. I don't know who got this, because I've seen a lot of people and outlets hiss of Brandon Cooks is a free agent. It's not. He's under contract. So I don't know where it started with this, like, Brandon Cooks is a free agent thing. He's not. He's under contract. In fact, all of your wide receivers are under contract right now. CeeDee Lamb, Cooks, Gallup for at least the next week-ish, then I think he ends up getting cut. If they can find a trade partner, awesome. It's a bad receiver market. If Ridley re-signs, nobody gets anybody good beyond maybe Marquise Brown. And also, then what the hell are the Jags doing with Christian Kirk? And I don't understand what the Jags are doing. Trent Baalke sucks, man. He is a worse GM than Steven is. That's a low bar, and he's not clearing it. But he's not going anywhere. Now, long-term re-signing, I don't think so. Maybe super cheaply, but I think his decline is kind of started a little bit, but he's still good. and you're not overpaying for him either. Mario, $4, $5. Think about what Mike Fisher's theory is about Dak not wanting to extend so we can hit 25 free agency and we get outbidded for him. Look, if that's what the Cowboy, if that's what that's probably what Todd France wants to do. And as I said earlier, okay, you have to call them. Like that theory's fine, but it's just a theory if the reporting is accurate. The Cowboys haven't spoken with Todd France yet. Like, every agent wants to get his player the most money possible. That is literally their job. The best way to do that is to reach free agency. So the team's job is to present an offer that is enough to convince the agent and the player to not hit free agency. The team can't do that if they're not talking to the agent. So like that's fine if that's the theory. There is probably some truth to it, at least from France's side. You know, I think Dak himself, I genuinely think Dak wants to be in Dallas. I think he wants to win for the Dallas Cowboys. But he also hired Todd France for a reason. Same way, you know, Joe Burrow and Herbert and eventually Mahomes, which he took a bad deal, and it took him like 4 years. He went, we're going to change this deal. And they have adjusted it to kind of, it's a weird one now. It's almost an exemption. Like Josh Allen, all these guys hurts. All those guys got big money. They want to. They've all made comments about paying themselves for the next guy. Okay, whatever. I think the Todd France angle is probably accurate. I think Todd France would love to get Dak to free agency. Because worst case, the Cowboys pay more than what they were offering. It is no different than the Amari Cooper situation. Remember that? The Cowboys moved a first-round pick for Amari Cooper and then didn't pay him. They did not pay him. And the end result was they got almost outbid by the Commanders. In fact, they did get outbid by the Commanders, and Amari took less. That's like your worst-case scenario. So what you should probably do is adjust things and be more aggressive in handling it. Just like it's not this team does not handle it correctly. From Zach Store, we are also past 500 likes, so I'll do a beer cheers for you now. Make sure I'm not missing any Venmos if they've come in. Got Geraldo in there, so we're caught up, I believe. Too many Twitter notifications for stuff I already saw happen. We should trade Deuce for 6 first-round picks. 7 or I'm walking. Cheers. Gold Fox 177. Been working as Queen signed yet. My one hope. Not the hope you should be having. I think he will get more somewhere else than what this team is comfortable paying. The longer these notable names go, the more the hope can rise of their market's probably not what they thought it was going to be. Tyron Smith falls in that category as well. Tyrone Thompson, $20 for a shot. Thought it was T. Thompson at first. That's my guy. He and I disagree on a lot of things, but he's always super. You know, it's the right way of going about having disagreements. Like it's not like name calling, and I respect the hell out of him for it. Tyre, a real GM or still the Eagles GM? I am available. I'll do the show somehow, and I'll be the GM. Cheers. Also, Adam Schefter tried to call Baltimore the Queen City. It's not what it's called. Baltimore is not the Queen City. He then edited the tweet to remove it. I don't know what he was thinking. I've never heard Baltimore be called the Queen City. Queen City is Charlotte and Cincinnati. Like Cumberland is Maryland's called the Queen City, but that's not what Baltimore is. I'm going to Google all the places that could be called Queen City. Cincinnati gets called it. Charlotte gets called it. Oh, here we go. List of all the Queen cities. Oh, actual Queen cities. Nicknames. There's a lot of these in here. Denver? Never heard that one. Cumberland, Maryland. Apparently they're saying this is wild and totally off topic. There's a Virginia, Minnesota. That should be illegal. Because I was staring there like, which one is it? I'm also dying. Hold on. This says Denver is Queen City of the Plains, and Cincinnati is Queen City of the West. What? None of those make sense. All right, thank you, Tyrone. As Dwayne Jackson, another $50 super chat. Let's ride. Get to a weigh-in here, and I'll do the beer bong while we get some shout-outs there. Also, put Trenton H into our Venmo 50/50 raffle. $10 to enter at What Going Downey. Dwayne says, with all the free agents signing with new teams, are the Cowboys reaching to their agents? Or the Cowboys being smug, acts like you have to come to us mentally? Cowboys are checkers where other teams are three-dimension chess. To answer your question, my friend, let me read you what one Cowboys high-ranking source told Jane Slater about the running backs in particular. We are looking at any player that can improve us in the range that we can afford. We have talked to any guy who has called and listened to what their wishes or ranges are. So they're not picking up the phone, folks. They're letting the agents and players call them. They don't care about getting better. They care about winning the deal and finding value. It's really frustrating. Oh, that Cowboys tweet of Trent Sieg is almost getting ratioed. Do you know how hard it is to ratio one of those major accounts? It is so hard to actually do that. So cheers to you, Dwayne. I'm going to grab the beer bong here. Once again, thank God we ate breakfast, Chris. At least I ate breakfast. There we go.
This one's for you, Dwayne. Everybody spam Dwayne in the comment section or answer the question right here. Would you have signed Derrick Henry for $8 million?
Cheers!
2 years, $16 million total, 9 guaranteed. It's a yes for me. I have seen a couple of no's, though.
I mean,
Anthony says no.
Falls into the I would have talked myself into it category, and wouldn't it be nice to have something exciting to talk about?
I mean, if it's just like, if it's 2 years.
2 years.
Like, it's not like you're giving him a 3, 4, 5-year deal.
It's 2 years, $16. It's not. He was still solid. Like Derrick Henry is not washed. I don't think he's the same guy he was in his prime, but he's not washed. I kind of think that I think that Austin Eckler might be washed. And Eckler's deal is only a couple $1 million less. It's just not, it's not great. Pug Racer, can't believe we let all the good running backs go. F-U, JJ, it's Steven. Let's look at my list of running backs here, Chris, and we'll check in with where things currently sit. And the market is not very good. I think you made a real mistake not signing Zach Moss. I think that was your mistake. Here's where things sit. Some notable names. Third down scat backs. Clyde Edwards-Helaire, Jerick McKinnon. Okay. Damian Harris. Okay. J.K. Dobbins, coming off major injuries. Okay. Deonta Foreman, that's fine, but that's, vet minimum. A.J. Dillon was not good last year for Green Bay. Alexander Madison got cut. If there is a if there is something resembling a bright side here, who needs a running back? Let's run through these teams as this stays up here. Bills, they're good. Dolphins, good. Jets, fine. Patriots, they already signed Antonio Gibson. They have Ramondre Stevenson. Chiefs, they're fine. And they probably want some depth money, which might draft somebody. Raiders, they might go with Zamir White in a draft pick, but they're an option. Denver's fine. Chargers already signed the Gus Bus. Ravens got Derrick Henry. Browns signed Naheem Hines to pair with other players. Pittsburgh's in good shape. Bengals got Zach Moss. Houston traded for Joe Mixon, which I think was a bad decision, but whatever. Jacksonville's in good shape. Indy maybe wants an RB2, but they can draft somebody. Tennessee got Pollard and has Tajay Spears. Philadelphia got Barkley. Giants got Devin Singletary. Commanders got Eckler too. Niners have McCaffrey. Rams have some pieces already. Seahawks have 2 backs they drafted in the first 75 picks. Cardinals have James Conner under contract. I was wrong. He's under contract. My bad. I got that wrong yesterday. My apologies. Detroit has 2 backs. Green Bay got Josh Jacobs in the end. Minnesota got Aaron Jones. Chicago signed Swift. Tampa's got Rashad White. Maybe they draft somebody. The Saints have 2 backs under contract. The Falcons have Bijan Robinson. Carolina paid Miles Sanders and got good play from other guys. Like, the running back options, the destinations are basically gone. So you get your pick of these guys. The problem is that what you wanted? Like, you know, are you really going to go into the draft with, like, you know what? Edwards-Helaire, Jerick McKinnon as our third down scat back to compete with Deuce Vaughn, whatever. Damian Harris, Deonta Foreman, A.J. Dillon, you know, Alexander Madison could be our, you know, power back. You know, are you going to gamble on J.K. Dobbins being a 1-year guy coming off all of the injuries from that perspective? Like, I have doubts about that one. So the big remaining running back name is off the market. Derrick Henry, a 2-year, $16 million deal, up to $20 million with $9 million fully guaranteed. It's not great. And frankly, it's fairly disappointing from that perspective. From Dawson Hoven, what's insane is Jerry's a huge salary cap, yet we consistently mishandle our own. Dawson's right. In the end, and to his credit, detriment, little column A, little column B, Jerry did what was right for the Shield. He wanted a salary cap to make all 32 teams competitive. And they have not learned how to do it with their own, which is disappointing and frustrating and annoying and saddening, whatever. It's just, they just don't do it right. And it's really annoying to all of us. Zach Storr, 99. We lost Tyron Smith-Biotish, but we got a ball. Doesn't even mean Josh Ball. It's funny. Technically, Tyron Smith at this time has not signed anywhere. And I'm not trying to put false hope out there. Because we know how this goes, right? We know this team wants to win the deal. They don't spend big money. But at this time, Tyron Smith, knock on wood, has not signed. And the longer that Tyron Smith goes without signing, the chances do increase of maybe he comes back. Maybe his market doesn't go the way that people thought it was going to go. You know, we can check in on the offensive tackle listicle here in a moment with all those names that are out there. But Jermaine Illuminor and Mike Nwenu are the only guys that have signed, basically, of note. So a lot of guard movement. But the tackles have not moved, really. Which I feel like is noteworthy. Here's the list. Now, it's not a good list. It's not. I also didn't put Tyron Smith on here. But Mekhi Becton's unsigned. That's a Will McClay special. Trent Brown is unsigned. I think there's some character stuff there. Attitude, maybe a better term for it. Josh Jones could at least be your swing and be a good one. Yosh Neiman, George Fant, Kendall Lamb, those guys have played starter snaps before. Like, if your goal is to, hey, if the worst comes to worst, this guy has to be our left tackle. Or he has to compete with Awesome Richards or whoever for tackle. Okay. It's not as good as Tyron Smith. But it's better than having to draft a tackle in round 1. Having to. Best guy's there, great. Do it. Marius Mims is there, great. Do it. You know? If you love Tyler Guyton, which I don't love Guyton, but I think Dallas could make him work because they've been really good with those types of players before, i.e. Tyler Smith. Troy Thornton is there. Let's ride. So I don't want to send out the false hope. But look, we're 24 hours in. Nary a peep at this stage on Tyron Smith. Worth mentioning and certainly monitoring. $5 from Coley Billick. By the way, one of my names at the defensive tackle spot is off the board. Malcolm Roach, the former Saint, going to Denver with Sean Payton. A 2-year, $8 million deal for Roach to Denver. I thought he might be a little bit cheaper, but that was a name I had earmarked of like maybe makes sense for Dallas. Anyway, Coley, Cowboy fan for life, but even though we expect no signings, it's tough to watch and believe in this team. I agree. Fully agree. It's disappointing to do nothing. Newman 30, again, a $10 super chat. Another entry into our signed Drew Pearson mini helmet. Hope we go 0-17 now. I don't know about all that. But I think you would be able to, have success in the draft process. Like, I think the only that happens is if your quarterback goes down and all the other guys go down too. But that's how you rebuild, which is why, by the way, if you're ever trying to get better, I would blow it up now. I would rebuild now. Like, what's the point of winning 10 games, being a playoff team, and going one and done again, and then the theory of your quarterback saying, peace, I'm out of here, your receiver getting mad at you, you're probably going to franchise tag him because if you don't pay him, you're dumb. Micah getting mad at you, and then rebuilding then, and starting to rebuild a year late with no feasible way of getting a top quarterback pick. I would rather start that process now than delay it a year for no reason. That's what I would rather do. Malik Willis. My agent just called the Cowboys, got voicemail. This is funny. Really funny, actually. I remember the Titans thought the Cowboys were going to take Malik Willis. They were not, by the way. But they were worried about that. And then Malik Willis got replaced by Will Levis. Mike Vrabel hates Malik Willis, by the way. He is not a fan of him. Dwayne Jackson, $20 super chat. Let's build a weigh-in for what James suggested for the Cowboys Report IG, by the way. Good thing to push today. Yeah, just a weigh-in for it. Shot coming for Dwayne here. When Jerry or Steven do their weekly radio shows, I wonder, do they take calls? They do not. I don't think they would ever want to take calls. Are the Cowboys agents to their agents? Oh, sorry, it's the old one. I bet. I don't know why I pulled up the $50 super chat from Dwayne there. Dumb of me. Let me scroll back here. There it is. Do they take calls? If so, I wonder how do they react when it comes to questions or the excuses why they suck as owners and GMs. They do not take calls. And like they get a little bit challenged by, the 105.3, the fan guys. But, it's not a thing where the Cowboys and the Joneses are wanting to be challenged. Like they'll get some tough questions, but it's not like you can sit there and ask them the same question over and over and over again to get a different answer. Like ownership can just answer it the same way 5 times. At a certain point, you just can't keep asking the same question. So they do not take calls because taking calls would be a disaster. Be hilarious, but a disaster from the Cowboys organization standpoint. So cheers to you, Dwayne. There we go. Chris B. Watch them draft a running back at 24. Jerry on top of the mess. So I had planned a funny tweet of I was going to send out a screenshot of me Googling where's the nearest bridge. To Google's credit, the results were a hotline for help. Which, that's how it should be. Good job, Google. But defeats the whole purpose of what the tweet would have been. Because I'm obviously not serious about it. Good job, Google, to make that the actual actual first response of what happens when you type in where is the nearest bridge. Smart. So I was going to tweet that out, and that's how I feel. You draft a running back at 24, I'm going to lose my mind. Your offensive line isn't going to be any better, and the guy you draft at 24 might be there at 56. He might be there for you. There's no Bijan Robinson. There's no Jahmyr Gibbs. Not even a Breece Hall this year. Some good backs, but I'm not doing running back in round one. So I know Chris B's trolling, and I appreciate that. It's such a bad idea. It really is. Not a path that they should pursue. Julian, just change your own draft strategy for RB. My plan was sign a vet, draft somebody 3rd, 4th to get that pick, 5th round. I'm still down with that plan because you still have your pick of Alexander Madison, A.J. Dillon, Edwards-Helaire, Damian Harris, Kareem Hunt, Jerick McKinnon, Rico Dowdle, Ty Johnson. Everyone else is kind of bad. It's not very good. Bring back Zeke. Sign Dalvin Cook, whatever. You can still get... the one that bothers me is you should have done the Zach Moss signing. That was a mistake to not do that one. You should have done that signing. You still got backs out there. You still do. But you might not be better at running back unless you spend a top 90 pick on a back. And I think you can find there should be one on day 2. My concern is that this team is going to go, they're going to get to the second round and go, Jonathan Brooks. And they're going to spend a second round pick on an injured back. Coming off an ACL tear. And I hate that idea. He's a good player. I have seen this team pay Terrence Steele, pay Michael Gallup coming off injuries, and it has not worked out for them in year one. I can't do it again with Brooks. I like him. Round 3, sure. What you could have done is sign Zach Moss and draft Jonathan Brooks. That works for me. I like that plan. Round 3. They didn't go that route. My suspicion is they're going to sign a 3rd down back. So they'll sign Clyde Edwards-Helaire or Jerick McKinnon. Someone in that tier. Maybe they'll bring in J.K. Dobbins too. And they'll draft Braylon Allen or Audric Estime or Jalen Wright on the 3rd round or 5th round. Or if they get a 4th round pick. And that's fine if they do other things. If they figure out offensive line, pre-round 2 or in round 2 with round 1 mixed in there. If they add some defensive talent, that's fine. Now, more supers to come, but if you have not already, please subscribe to us here on the Cowboys Report. As long as the supers are flowing in, as long as the audience is having some fun, we will have, I think we'll go live again tomorrow. And we will go live again Thursday. And timing dependent on other moves that hypothetically happen. Hit that sub button. YouTube.com/Cowboys TV for more free Dallas Cowboys YouTube videos. Now, today's show is made possible by Prize Picks. Go to prizepicks.com/CLNS for a first deposit match up to $100. Prize Picks is daily fantasy made easy. It's 2 to 6 player stat projections, more than or less than on those stat projections for the NBA, for college basketball. March Madness is weird for me because I do free agency until, oh my God, it's time. And there's just like there's not a lot of time for me to devote to that. So I don't do many. I do my bracket. I don't do many prize picks there for March Madness. What I do prize picks for PGA Tour. I'm pretty good at those. Now I'm better for the week-long stuff, but Scotty Scheffler, I'm going more than 4.5 birdies in round 1. Love it. It's up to 5 now, but I got it at 4.5. Matthew Fitzpatrick, less than 4 birdies. He did not play very well at Bay Hill. Arnold Palmer invite last week. Shane Lowry, more than 4 birdies. He did play pretty well at Bay Hill. I think Sawgrass fits in pretty decently. And Justin Thomas closed pretty well on Sunday. And I think he can continue that trend. Well, what matters here is how they play in terms of just birdies. Justin Thomas for a little bit was kind of on a bit of a heater in terms of how he was playing and everything, how things were going on there. 4.5 birdies is a higher line than what you typically see from that perspective. But I think the more than can hit. I think he has the ability to get to that range. So go to prizepicks.com/CLNS and use code CLNS for that first deposit match up to $100. Link will be in the comment section and the description of today's show. I hit a couple rounds under par at Bay Hill. I think he'll make some noise this week. JT will. prizepicks.com/CLNS and use code CLNS. Now, we have some social media beyond YouTube for you guys. Number 1 is my Twitter at WhatGoingDowney. If you can put that link in there, Chris, for both those, it'd be very helpful there. At WhatGoingDowney. I don't tweet very much when I'm live on shows. I try to not distract myself from that angle. Most of the big stuff and some funny jokes that I also make on air here. When I'm not on air, I'm on there plenty there. At WhatGoingDowney, the goal is 30K by the end of the NFL draft. We have also launched an Instagram handle, which I think that background color's not right. That should be a pink. Either way, it doesn't matter too much there. At Cowboys Report IG. Let's get to 500 in the not-too-distant future there. For the Cowboys Report Instagram. Our shorts and clips and other stuff will go up there as well. One move happened. Michael Dunn has re-signed with the Cleveland Browns, so okay. $5 from A.J. Medell. I think I pronounced that correctly. I've got, at this point, I don't see how we get better by not signing at least one decent free agent to cover a hole. Relying on draft isn't enough. All in? Again, they were never all in. They were never, and even like to go back to the quote, I don't know if Jerry misspoke or if he just doesn't get it, but they were never intending to be all in the way that we think they are. I don't think it was malicious of them trying to trick us. I think it was just they were just being dumb and not understanding what all in means. Again, all in, the actual poker analogy, right? You have your hands. You push all your chips in. You say, I'm risking it all. The Joneses sit there, they get their hand, and they raise, and they say, I'm all in. No, you're not. You got 80% of your chips behind you. You just raised. It's not what all in means. They don't mean the same thing. Their version of all in is they're going to be all in on some of their own players. And new players, CeeDee Lamb, Micah Parsons in particular, they're going to pay those guys. They're not going to pay Zach Martin anymore. They're not going to pay Tyron Smith much more long term. They're not going to pay DeMarcus Ware anymore. They're not going to pay Tank Lawrence in the near future. They're going to pay those guys instead. This team likes to operate as if that signings are for promotions. And that works in like real life. Not an NFL team does business. Pug Racer. Why haven't we cut the 2 overpaid scrubs to make cap room? I wonder who the 2 overpaid scrubs are here. This is Gallup. Who's the other one? Oh, maybe it just means overpaid scrubs in general. And Gallup is who that is. You're not really paying them much of any of the guys. Terrence Steele cut makes no sense right now. You're going to give him one more year. You wouldn't save anything anyway. Van Der Esch will retire. That's kind of all you got there. But again, you're not spending that much cash right now. You're really not. Seth, Connor got signed. Why am I still a fan? That was my fault. The list I was working on had an error, and I wasn't smart enough to catch it. Connor wasn't a free agent. He was under contract with Arizona for one more year. So that is my bad. Now, in the end, Aaron Jones, Joe Mixon became available briefly, so it kind of evens out and takes off a team in the market there anyway, because Arizona, when he needed it back real bad. But, yeah, you have your pick of the litter, The expensive golden doodles all got bought, and you have your pick of the mutts now. Scott, $10 into our raffle here. I would love the Notre Dame kid. That is Audric Estime in the 3rd or 4th round. I'm not spending a 3rd round pick on him. He might get to you in the 5th. I think what the Cowboys would like to do is find a speedier back, which when Pollard went off the board and Gibbs went off the board, it was not, kind of went down quickly there in free agency. So maybe Dobbins fits that mold if you trust him to be healthy, which I don't really do. Maybe a signing of, Edwards-Helaire or McKinnon fit that mold, and they want to draft their power back. Add the power back to handle it from a workload perspective because he's less wear on his tires, and sign the speed back. Now, Pollard got more than they thought, and apparently $4 million was too much for Zach Moss. The cap hit would have been less than your punter. Not great. Now, maybe they pivot, and maybe they go, we'll draft the best player available, speed or power. We'll bring in a veteran power back, and we'll let Dowdle and Deuce Vaughn compete for the speed role. I don't know. KEU, a.k.a. Kill Credo, Trent Sieg counts. He doesn't count. That was the long snapper, technically before we went live. That is the one thing Dallas has done so far in free agency. They have re-signed Trent Sieg to a 1-year vet minimum contract. Which, I have no complaints about re-signing Trent Sieg. That makes sense. That's an easy move. That can't be all you do. It can't be. From Quay South, Dallas, I'm tired of they should. I get it. It's annoying. Really annoying, frankly. But that's all we got. Hunter M, possibility of a Deuce Vaughn breakout with a better offensive line. I'm going to fire off the tweet. I'm going to fire off the tweet here. I'm going to do the Deuce Vaughn as RB1 tweet. I'm going to do it. Screw it. I'm just going to do it. Let's see if I can find some good tweets here. What's my best one? I'm doing it. I don't care, Chris. I'm firing off that edited clip of Deuce Vaughn RB1. This will really get the people going. There you go. Fired it off at What Going Downey. So, honest answer, non-troll bit answer. I think Deuce Vaughn could work as your 3rd down scat back. But he is a 6th round pick. And we should always operate with young players based on the investment level. Sometimes they do worse, sometimes they do better. In general, I don't think you want your RB2 to be a former UDFA in Malik Davis, a former 5th round pick who got cut already in Snoop Connor, a UDFA fullback hybrid Hunter Lipke, and a 6th round pick in Deuce Vaughn. I think that Deuce Vaughn was put in some bad spots. You're like, Deuce Vaughn does not make sense as your grinded out 4th quarterback. That's not who he is. You get the ball in space, some decent things can happen. Getting the ball when it's not 2nd and 12 with a minute to go, he's not going to be a power back to run over guys when they're loading up the box. That's not who he's going to be. Could he be a decent third down back? Maybe for you. Rotation piece? Sure. I think what you do, you got to let Dowdle and Vaughn compete for that role and or somebody else in the third down back role and need more of a 1A, 1B. I think those guys can be your 2s or your 3s. Now, Vaughn's lack of special teams value hurts you pretty bad there, but you got to go get somebody in this running back market. And the one that bothers me, you would sign Zach Moss. I think he'd be in pretty good shape at the backfield. You'd have a starting caliber back who's costing you the same on the cap as your punter. That's pretty good. Instead, Dallas has let the entire market play out in front of them. It's a mistake. It's a mistake. Joshua, $10, also into our raffle for the signed Drew Pearson mini helmet here. End of the month, we'll raffle that off, by the way. We are also doing $10 on Venmo for the 50-50 raffle. The take-home right now is $15. Trent H., Geraldo Neary, and Lance Dunbar's burner are in on that one. What are the chances Dallas lets Dak walk after 2024 for a third-round comp pick and trade Parsons for draft capital next year? I would be surprised because I don't believe this team wants to rebuild while Jerry Jones is alive. I don't think they want that. I don't think Steven wants that even. They would rather be around a 10-win team than rebuild. They'd rather be 10 wins every year for the next 15 years than win a title for one of those years and have 4 years of bad results. That's what they would rather do. I am convinced of that. So I think there is a chance they lose Dak because they screw this up in the process because they haven't learned from their mistakes. I would be shocked if they dealt Micah Parsons away. But there's also this angle. You better hit on that quarterback that you draft. Because let me tell you, guys remember that viral Del Curry tweet? You don't want to be out here? It's different since you were out here last. That's what it would really be for the quarterback market. Having a top 10 guy is very valuable. Look what the Falcons paid a not top 10 guy in Kirk Cousins. The players that are thought to be top 10 quarterbacks get massive money because that's job security. Only in Dallas is Mike McCarthy on the hot seat after 3 straight 12-win seasons, and he should be on the hot seat. If this were Atlanta, McCarthy got an extension this offseason because that's job security. Dallas, the bar is a bit higher because it's been 28 years, and that is fine. That is the way it should be. But the alternative that is a very real outcome when the QB hit rate in round 1 is about 30%, you are stuck in actual quarterback purgatory. And it is Chad Hutchinson, Quincy Carter, Drew Bledsoe, Vinny Testaverde for 5+ years. You know, the Commanders had been linked to going back after Kirk Cousins again because they never recovered. Now they maybe are about to if they hit on this quarterback. The Bears have never had a quarterback as good as Dak Prescott. Literally have never had one. Apologies to Jim McMahon, I guess. But, that's kind of scary. That's scary. That's why teams pay quarterbacks big money. Now, what I don't want to do is just let them walk. And in that scenario, rebuild now. Why wait? KEU, y'all were 1 year early on needing a back. 2025 is a wet dream of a running back class for all of our draft lovers. Get a bridge guy and go all in next year. I will pull up some of the running back draft prospects for the 2025 class, knowing things can and very much will change at that position here. Let me get a good list of just guys I'll pick here. Travion Henderson, Donovan Edwards, Jaquavius Marks is there. We'll see how Rocket Sanders does for Arkansas. Who's going to be a draft pick in 2025? I forgot about this one. Let me make sure. Let me make sure I'm not wrong on this one. Make sure he didn't transfer. Oh, he did transfer. You know who's at A&M this upcoming year? Emmitt Smith's kid. He's not been that good, by the way. But wouldn't that be on brand for the Cowboys? Draft Emmitt's kid. OSU's got 2 good backs. Nick Singleton might be decent. Ollie Gordon, Omarion Hampton, Trevor Etienne I like. Donovan Edwards. Other backs I'm sure will emerge too. There's some good pieces. There'll always be some good pieces, by the way. Who? Where did he transfer to? FSU for Roy Williams? Yeah, he might not be an early pick, though. But yeah, there'll always be backs in the draft. Just how early do you want to take one? Be very on brand to draft E.J. Smith, by the way. Very on brand. There's more guys I didn't even mention, by the way. Someone said take a chance on Max Johnson. No. Why do people keep thinking, I'm sorry, I'm being mean. No. Why are we doing Max Johnson stuff? He's not good. Like, he has been with LSU and A&M, and he's never been more than okay. He's on his 3rd team. He's a UNC quarterback now entering year 5. No. Do not want Max Johnson. Be very on brand for the Cowboys to go Shadur Sanders, Emmitt Smith's kid. Wouldn't that be funny? I'm hoping that, Taj Brooks, good name too. Hoping that, Shadur gets better this year. I think the offensive line will be better in Colorado, and that'll help him too. Anyway, that's next year's problems. Richard Robinson, excuse me. I got my Cowboys legends mixed up there. No back. We have a long snapper. Definitely all in. They were never all in. They never meant to be all in. It's George Odom, by the way, re-signing with the Niners, 2-year deal up to $10 million. A lot of money there. Wow. A core special teamer. It's fine. Ryder Kincaid. Would you say that running back, left tackle, and linebacker are our top needs? Thank you for attending me on the Ryder Work Football as well. Well, thank you, Ryder. Center's in there. Defensive tackle is in there. Corner's up there because you got 2 guys unsigned. Now, come draft time, those might be your top needs. But waiting on something. Chris B., how do you think Mike McCarthy is feeling about all this? No help. I don't think he likes it. How could he? Right? How could any player or coach on this team, year ends, damn, we weren't good enough. We got to get better. And you're watching everybody else make moves. And your team's like, we're fine. The players saw Jerry Jones's all-in comments. Micah saw that. Dak saw that. It's not going to go over well when they do nothing. And they see other teams do stuff. Fair or not, I think it's actually fair, by the way. It's not going to be well received. There were already reports of some of those in the organization don't feel there's any commitment from the front office. Doing nothing, we're 24 hours in, not going to improve things. From Skit Scat, I'm a little nervous to ask, but I do feel this way. How bad is it if we start Deuce this year? I feel like he could break out and be a star. I like Deuce Vaughn coming out of Kansas State. I don't think he's going to be a star running back. I think he could be a rotation piece. But he can't be a 30 carry per game guy. He's never going to be a great special teamer. He's probably not going to be a great pass protector. There is a role for him, but I think that role is a little bit limited. And I'll say this part too. You want to run the ball late in games to grind out the clock? Deuce Vaughn's not your guy for that. Deuce Vaughn is probably going to tap out at 15, 20 touches a game. I think that's fine. No. If you had signed Derrick Henry, Deuce Vaughn might have worked as a compliment there. It might have worked. If you had signed Zach Moss and drafted somebody, maybe Deuce Vaughn could be your RB3. I think this team thinks that the Turpin Gadget role and the Deuce Vaughn role are a little bit similar. I'm not sure I agree with that, but I don't think he's going to be a star. Best case, the absolute best case is Darren Sproles. And that's probably asking for too much, frankly. But Darren Sproles' peak is what you... And then that was a particular role in the end. Now, today's show is made possible by Prize Picks. Go to prizepicks.com/CLNS and use code CLNS for a first deposit match up to $100. Links in the comments and the description of today's show. It's daily fantasy made easy. You're picking 2 to 6 player stat projections, more than, less than on those stat projections, and you watch the winnings roll in. PrizePicks.com/CLNS and use code CLNS for a first deposit match up to $100. We have a new baseball prize pick. Who did this one? Trace? Was that Trace? Okay, Trace, what you got, buddy? Adolis Garcia, more than 32.5 home runs. That's for the season. Trey Turner, more than 27.5. That's stolen bases, right? And Juan Soto, more than 35.5 home runs. Okay, I'm fine with that. Does that make sense to you, Chris? You know more baseball than I think that works. It's always lower because of injury concerns, Season numbers are always lower. PrizePicks.com/CLNS and use code CLNS for a first deposit match up to $100. Links in the comments section and the description of today's show. People are big mad over the Deuce Vaughn tweet. It was obviously a bit, but everyone's mad, so I'm not even going to be mad at people back there. Every 250 likes, by the way, is a beer cheers. We are at 589 right now. My back's a little tight too. 589 is our current number. So 750 is the next number for we're doing for 500. We can keep drinking all day long. Done some beer bongs, done plenty of shots, as the Cowboys have done nothing in free agency so far. Roman Wolf Gaming, $2. DTs aren't over 6'4". I don't want it. We are undersized. What if you get a 6'3", 330-pound guy? Is that okay? Or what if they're like, hold on. Let me look this up here. What if they are... What if they're kind of close enough there? I'm looking for some better options in terms of the height. That's not good enough height there, I promise you. What if they're only 6'4", 294? Is that still too light for you? Roach to Denver, by the way. Jones back to the Bills, too, on that list. And Kinlaw to the Jets. I'm looking at like a draft pick here that's like undersized, but like also isn't. I'm going to go by height here and figure this out. Okay, what if they are... That's above 6'4". I'm looking for like a short, fat guy on this list. Okay. What if they're Jordan Jefferson day 3 and they're almost 6'3", 313? Is that okay? Or do you want like a Justin Aboybe, almost 6'4.5", 297, 33-inch arms? That's fine. There are some draft prospects this year, and what I would love to do, I really would love to do this, I would love to fill all of my needs in some capacity in free agency. So if there is a defensive tackle that I like, I can take them. Johnny Newton is going to be a round 1 guy, or at least off the board before you pick in round 2. Darius Robinson, probably a similar path. Braden Fisk is a day 2 guy. Mason Smith is intriguing, but also scary to me. Tavondre Sweat is your fatty. McKinley Jackson's a fatty. Ruka Rororo is a 3 technique, right? Michael Halls is an undersized 3 technique. He's sub 6'3", 290, and didn't even run because he added some weight for it. Brandon Dorless, by the way, could be a really fun fit for this organization. Only 6'3", 283, but tested great. That's a defensive end, defensive tackle hybrid that I am intrigued by, but is undersized. Gabe Hall is a different body type than what you have. That might be the guy that would make some sense for you there. Roman Wolf Gaming. Gabe Hall he's only 291, but he's 6'6" with 34.5-inch arms. Awesome length. So I would love to find a way to add a defensive tackle in the draft. I have a first, a second, a third, and a fifth. I think all those guys are probably off the board by the 5th round. And I need a running back, a linebacker right now, maybe a corner, offensive line help. Let me make that happen. KEU give a 5th for Khalil Herbert. Can you tag me in a tweet on this, Q? Because I love this idea. This is a great idea. I would be so in on trading my 5th round pick for Khalil Herbert. You know, DeAndre Swift is now a member of the Bears. Roschon Johnson is in there. Herbert for his career, 4.9 yards per carry. Now, he's had injury issues at times, but he can catch the ball a little bit. He has, 364 carries for 175 yards, got 1 year on his deal. I would like that idea. I think a Herbert trade makes a lot of sense. So if you can send that out there and tag me on it, I will quote tweet you and give you some love there, because I think that is a really good idea. I would be in. And someone Venmoed about Tyler Algier, same thing. Ecuador man, breaking news: Cowboys signed future UFL MVP. So, chance that's just Trey Lance, right? Right? Like, in the event that Trey Lance is bad in the preseason, is it like 2 or 3 years from now he's the UFL MVP? Or is that just Zach Wilson? AJ McCarron might be again, too. That's a good point. Maybe he's already on your roster. I will say, their best move last offseason was adding the kicker from the now UFL. It's not great. Dwayne Jackson. Will be surprised if the Cowboys don't sign anyone or just sign ineffective players or just be stopgap players. They will sign somebody. They will. They always sign somebody. It's James Washington. It's HaHa Clinton Dix. It's Chuma Edoga. It's Ronald Jones. And it's just not great. It's just not very good. Someone is now tweeting me like, well, what about Snoop Conner? Like an actual thought about my Deuce Vaughn troll tweet. No. Snoop Conner couldn't make the Jags. So they will sign somebody. Is it going to be today? Sure don't feel like it. From Dawson, Jerry, child support doesn't count against the cap. He going to lose that case. He's going to lose the case. Because he's going to lose. All right, prediction time. How many outside free agents will the Dallas Cowboys sign? Is it 0? Is it 1, 2, 3? What's the number going to end up being when we sit down pre-draft? Pre-draft only. I'm not going to count when they sign, another depth defensive lineman in April or in May. How many outside free agents? Give some shout-outs here. For sip some water. Even Dez is bodying the Cowboys on Twitter. 4, 0, 2, 3, 4, 69. Nice. 0, 0, 3, but no starters. 3, 0, 0, 0. 0, 0, 3, 4, 0, 2, maybe 3, 2, 4, 1, 2, 3. Still 3 to 4 minimum. 0, 0, 0, 0, 5. I'm trying to think of what I can bet here. But I would wager a free beer bong. I dropped my pen cap. The Dallas Cowboys will sign at least 2 outside free agents before the NFL draft. At least 2. 3, I think 3 is a good number. So we'll go 2.5. I'll give you guys the halfie. Free beer bong if I'm wrong. Come NFL draft time, the Cowboys will have signed 3 outside free agents. I'm not saying they're going to be good, but they will sign at least 3. So 2.5 is the over-under there. The half is so there's no ties. Can't sign half a player. You know? I'm going to make a joke that we'll count the long snapper as a half player, but that one already counts. He's not even outside free agent anyway. Ooh, net free agents from Matt Lay. I think at that point we should count the re-signings. So let me pull up my list here. If we count the re-signings, you're net 2 right now. You're going to be in the negatives. Because I don't think you're going to re-sign Sean McKinnon. I assume Gallimore's gone. I think you'll bring back Hankins. You'll lose Fowler. Probably bring back Godwin. You'll lose Zig McNogany. Bring back one of Gilmore or Lewis. You'll lose Jerick. Yeah, negative. Net negative or near even is going to be my guess. Justin, we are stupid to let Henry go. Damn the Jones fam. Honestly, I am more upset about not signing Zach Moss than about Derrick Henry. They were never going to pay Derrick Henry $8 million. But 4? For a starting back who was very good last year for Indy? 4 is too much for you? I still don't agree with that. You know, Henry got the Tony Pollard deal, by the way. Similar, just shorter. Like, I wouldn't have been mad at Derrick Henry. Really can't. 4 is too much for Zach Moss? Really? 4 is too much for you. I don't get it. I really don't get it. That's cheap. It's cheap money. 7 was too much for Aaron Jones? They have completely allowed the entire running back market to play itself out. It has played out. Everyone's been signed. Like, everyone of note has been signed at least. Let me read this off here. I had the list. Derrick Henry goes from Tennessee to Baltimore. From Baltimore, Gus Edwards goes to Los Angeles. From Los Angeles, Austin Eckler goes to the Commanders. From the Commanders, Antonio Gibson goes to the Patriots. That was the Commanders side there. Patriots, probably not going to bring back Zeke. Aaron Jones goes to the Vikings. Joe Mixon goes to Texans via trade. Zach Moss goes to the Bengals. Saquon Barkley goes to the Eagles. Jacobs to the Packers. Pollard to Tennessee. Swift to the Bears. Turner to the Giants. And there are your moves. So you had 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. I'm going to say 11. I'm not going to count Eckler, frankly. 10. Call it 10. 10. I'm not going to count Gibson under. 10 starting caliber backs in free agency. And you let them call you. I don't get it. We'll get to some names here, but name a free agent who you guys at running back that you would like to sign. We'll run through that list here because I think Big T to the One's got a good super chat on that. We'll tie it into it. Name a running back. I was wrong about James Conner. He's not a free agent. That's my bad. The list that I was operating on was wrong. He's not a free agent. Takes the Cardinals off the board of needing one, though. So free agency-wise, here's your list. It's not a good list. It's Jerick McKinnon, Edwards-Helaire. You know, you can probably find 3.8 yards per carry there. Probably pretty easily. McKinnon, Edwards-Helaire can be your third down scat backs. Let them compete with like a Deuce Vaughn and maybe a Rico Dowdle. Damian Harris. At times I've liked what he's able to do. There are times I've seen flashes of him of like, this guy can be a decent piece for you. He kind of fell out of favor in Buffalo last year. He had 1,000 yards almost in 2021. And then kind of fell out of favor in New England and regressed in Buffalo. Could be your plotter back. J.K. Dobbins, what's the medical like? You know, when J.K. Dobbins has been out there, he's averaged 5.8 yards per carry. He's played 9 games the past 3 seasons. That's bad. He missed all of 2021, half of 2022, and played 1 game last year. That's vet minimum all the way. And you don't feel great about him being your starter. Like, when he has played, he has been good. He's shown some pass-catching ability, not a ton, but enough. He's smaller than Dallas typically likes, listed at 5'10", 215. But it is just medical red flag city, right? I mean, think about all of his injuries that J.K. Dobbins has suffered, even dating back to 2016. In high school, he has a left leg fibula fracture. 2019, back with Ohio State, high ankle sprain, grade 3. 2021, preseason, tears his ACL. 2021, he misses all the season, right? Also had a hamstring tear in that same injury. Then 2020, he misses all of 2021, comes back a little bit slower in 2022, and then 2023 tears his Achilles in week 1. That's concerning. Deonta Foreman fell out of favor in Chicago. It's fine if that is the route that they choose to go. I thought when he's been given a chance, he's been pretty decent. He's just under 4 yards a carry for the Bears. Has been above that in Tennessee and Carolina. Was clearly RB3 for them. A.J. Dillon, former second-round pick. If you want that power back, Dillon would make sense, And now the issue is he was bad last year. 3.4 yards per carry. He was worse than Ezekiel Elliott. He's worse than Austin Eckler. You're buying him for nothing. All of these guys are vet minimum deals. Alexander Mattison, probably going to be a vet minimum deal. There's a reason why Minnesota said we don't want him anymore. Now, the Cowboys love their Boise boys. So I could see that one end up being a case there too. But Mattison, he's an under 4 yard per carry back. I can find under 4 yard per carry back on day 3 of the NFL draft. I can find that guy. But I also have other spots I need to address. And it's just, I think you made some mistakes. It's the Zach Moss one that stands out to me. Maybe Devin Singletary could have been more aggressive there if you wanted to. I think that not having a back when the entire market's played out, you get your pick of the tier 3 guys. Maybe you get lucky and it's Darren McFadden 2.0, and he was fine for you. Big TD the one, Tom, with who's left, who should we have interest in? So we ran through running backs. Let's go to linebacker here, Chris, because I do want to get a linebacker in here as well. And then, bargain bin, I guess, everything else, but you're already going to bargain bin anyway. So, linebacker. There are options out there. Now, Patrick Queen remains unsigned. Somewhat surprising to me. Probably means his market's not as good. Levante David is unsigned. I have interest there. A great fit. Josie Jewell, Eric Kendricks, Bobby Wagner fit that veteran linebacker mold that maybe come in at under $4 million, which seems to be your self-imposed price tag range. Nicholas Morrow has been linked to Dallas before. Jerome Baker got cut. Doesn't impact that precious comp pick formula for Dallas. Maybe that's something they end up pursuing. But I think linebacker and running back, you got to get something. You can't just run it back. That's not, you can't go into the draft with your RB1 being Rico Dowdle, Deuce Vaughn, Malik Davis, and linebackers being DeMarvion Overshown and Damone Clark. It's not going to work. Chris B, 4 being too much is embarrassing for billionaires. I think I've seen, let me see if I can find the Zach Moss contract structure. Because I would bet all of my money that the Zach Moss contract, from a cap hit perspective, and it might not be up yet. It's not up yet. But it's 2 years, $8 million. So it's going to be less in year 1, more in year 2. I would bet all of my money that you would be paying your punter more this year. Like, seriously? Like, you guys know me. I don't want to pay running backs big money. It's not how I want to operate. But a starting back for $4 million is wildly affordable. Super affordable. Why wouldn't you do that? That's too much for you? You can't afford that? Come on. From Toby, how would you feel if our running back room is Jerick McKinnon, Rico Dowdle, and Ray Davis next year? I mean, I like Ray Davis. Great story, too. Where does that running back room rank in the NFL? Near the bottom, right? Isn't that like 30th, maybe? It's not a good running back room. Vet minimum, day 3 pick. I think that's somewhat realistic, by the way. Unless they draft, maybe they draft a guy in the 2nd or 3rd round. But that's not like, oh, great. Like, you have even for me, I have a tough time seeing that being pitched to me as we have fixed our struggling ground game. I just don't buy it. No. Joshua, the only unrestricted free agent that I would be upset with losing would be Gilmore and Tyron. Other than those two, who would you be upset losing? Hankins, unless you get a good nose guard in there too. Maybe Jordan Lewis, but if you sign Gilmore, it's fine. But the problem is, you have to do other stuff too. Like, if you're letting guys walk, that's fine. I get that. There's not a lot of guys I'd be upset about losing. Tyron, Gilmore, Hankins, maybe Lewis too, all makes sense. Beyond that, you need help. You can't just lose 10 guys and go, we're better now. Sign other players. By the way, we have a Patrick Queen signing. It is not to the Dallas Cowboys. The money coming in well above the Cowboys' price range. Pittsburgh Steelers are signing Patrick Queen, so another division rival poaching the Baltimore Ravens. 3 years, $41 million for Patrick Queen, with Marcus Spears breaking that news, crazily enough. 3 years, $41 million for Patrick Queen to the Pittsburgh Steelers. They had linebacker issues, so I'm not overly surprised they go down that route there. I think that's at least double what Dallas is looking to spend at the running back position, or the linebacker position. So take Patrick Queen, which I never thought was that realistic, off your linebacking core list as he joins the Steelers to stay in the AFC North. Some more supers, some more news as well. DJ Dallas is going to the Cardinals. Not impactful there. The Browns are going to sign Akeem Adeniji to give them some, 8th, 9th offensive lineman depth there. Almost put Akeem on my lineman lists that I did. I almost put him on there. He's got some position flex there. But Patrick Queen to the Pittsburgh Steelers, 3 years, $41 million. Also, Amik Robertson, 2 years, $92.5 million. That's a lot of money for him. I think he could be better elsewhere than he was with Las Vegas, but I'm kind of surprised it was almost $5 million per year for him. It's a little bit expensive there. So Chris B says Dez and Parsons' brother are trashing the front office on Twitter. Of course they are. They saw those all-in comments, and they don't know better yet. At least Parsons' brother doesn't. Dez should know by now. But everything, I've seen some of Dez's tweets. The ones I've seen so far are true. It's not great. It's a bad look for this team at minimum. You can't say you're all in, knowing what that connotation means, and then sign a long snapper. Sucks. Cornfed69. This might be one of my favorite usernames I've seen so far. I'm more disappointed in Dallas when we lost to Green Bay. I'm actually not. That Packers loss messed me up for a couple days. Like, I was down bad because I thought they should have won that game, and the path set up for them pretty decently to make it to at least a championship game, and they just did nothing. They did nothing. They laid an egg, and everything since then has been a disappointment. JT, watch them sign Dalvin 2 years late. That'd be a disaster. I remember some people out there trying to do a victory lap on Dalvin Cook because he had one good playoff run. He had a 19-yard carry. It was a nice run. And then he had 7 carries for 4 yards. I remember the victory lap from some of Cowboys' social media. You should have signed Dalvin. Where were you when he then had 7 runs for 4 yards after that and didn't play in their second playoff game? Dalvin Cook is cooked. We warned you last offseason. Now, to be fair, I didn't think he was going to drop off that badly. I think he was going to go from 4.4 to 3.2 yards per carry. I thought he might drop to 4-ish, and he might be better next year in theory, but he was a 5-yard per carry guy in 2020. 4 years later, he's barely cracking 3. He's cooked. Dalvin Cook is not better than Rico Dowdle on your team. Non-troll answer, I legit might take Deuce Vaughn over him. Bad. Cook was bad in like a better situation. Oh, we got a Des tweet. Nice job, Chris. Says, ready to take the blame, Dak, because I really don't see no help coming your way unless a miracle happens. Everyone in the NFC East got better, but afraid to with during the Cowboys. The draft will not be enough. He's not wrong. This is how it's going to go. The Cowboys will do nothing to upgrade their roster of major note beyond free agency. And then it's all going to be the QB's fault. It's always somebody's fault. That's not the Jones boys' fault. It's a shit plan. It's not a serious to win plan. And if your plan is, you know what, you just want to move on, then do it now. Make a decision. At some point, this team has to take a chance on something sometime. Refuse to do it. If you're going to have a lame duck year, blow it up now. Don't sit there and keep leaking that you want to pay Dak, but only at your rate. That's not how it works, man. Try. $10 from Scott. Again, into our entry for the signed Drew Pearson mini helmet. Doing some sim mock drafts. What about this draft? So 24, Troy Fontenot from Washington. Love it. Peyton Wilson at linebacker. Injury concerns, but he's very talented. Johnny Wilson from Florida State. I'd be fine with it. The Penn State center, sure. 6th round, the USC running back Carson Steele. 23, the A&M the cornerback DeBerry, and DT Lee from Iowa. I think you got 3 starters there. And that's fine. That's your issue, right? Who's your I don't think you're going to get a 5th round center in a great spot there. Maybe Bo Limmer falls instead. I don't love the Penn State center, but you're filling a need. It's fine. You're not getting much D line help. You're going to keep Gilmore because 7th round corner is not going to help you. You can't. It's a solid draft. Can't fill all your needs via the draft. Too many spots. Too many spots available, or not available, I should say, from that perspective. So, some more news trickling in here. The Giants have signed Drew Lock. Tank Commanders on the move to New York. Daniel Jones and Drew Lock. What a hilarious quarterback room that is. Quay South Dallas. Think if we had another Dallas team, the Cowboys would be sitting around. Maybe not. There will never be another Dallas team, though. There will never be another one. NFL can expand to 60. Yeah, they'll have a tough time getting one in San Antonio or Austin. There will never be another Dallas team. The NFL wouldn't do that to their most valuable franchise. Now, it might help them. Competition's a good thing. This team does not know, but there you go. Gold Fox 177. I always make the jokes that Ted Thompson, the Packers' old GM, must be positioned the Jones boys. Only draft, sign no one in free agency. Seems the same path as well. That's the thing. This has been the Cowboys' path for a decade plus. They've signed one guy since Brandon Carr to a deal worth more than $9 million guaranteed. That's it. McCoy got 9, but his guarantee structure only gave him 3 after the injury. Dontari Poe didn't get 9, was too fat, got cut. Brandon Carr was a big contract signing. At the time, was massive, 5 years, $50 million. Shows you how much the league has changed money-wise since then. And the Cowboys have always treated it as a bad contract. It really wasn't. Not like bad. Wasn't what they wanted. He played every game on that contract. Didn't get cut. Made it all the way through. It's not that bad. You sign a free agent who makes the entire lifetime of their contract, it's a good signing. And they don't think that's good enough for them. It's the crux of their issues. Today's show is made possible by Prize Picks. Go to prizepicks.com/CLNS and use code CLNS for a first deposit match up to $100. Link will be in the comment section and the description of today's show. Prize Picks is daily fantasy sports made easy. You're picking 2 to 6 player stat projections, right? More than or less than on NBA, college basketball, esports, UFC for producer Chris, golf for me. This is my Prize Picks list. I always get in early on the tour because those more than less thans tend to rise. I've got more than 4.5 Scotty Scheffler birdies. I think he's going to play great. Less than Matthew Fitzpatrick birdies. He did not play very well. Shane Lowry, more than 4 birdies. He did play well at Bay Hill. And I'm feeling Justin Thomas bounce back week. He's going to continue some strong-ish play of late. More than 4.5 birdies. Again, do the flex play. Flex play, you can get one wrong, still come out on top. It's prizepicks.com/CLNS and use code CLNS for a first deposit match up to $100. Links in the comments section and the description of today's show. All right, hit that sub button if you haven't already done so. I will also do another call. We'll call it the penultimate call for a Venmo, $10 to enter at What Going Downey. Winner takes home $15. That's more than any outside free agent has been given to the Dallas Cowboys. We're going to spend more on free agency than the Cowboys are today. At What Going Downey, $10 to enter the 50-50 raffle. Hit that sub button as well on YouTube. We will plan to go live tomorrow as well. And if and when the Cowboys make moves, we'll have news for you. So we'll see. Here's today's super chat menu as well. $10 gets you into the Drew Pearson mini helmet raffle giveaway. $50, you go in the Beer Bong Hall of Fame. And we'll chug a beer bong out of it. Shout out to Dwayne Jackson for adding another one to that list. $20 for a shot, plus again, that Venmo 50-50 raffle is $10 ongoing. I think we'll plan to do that around 3 p.m. Eastern. Will be our time frame for that one there. KEU, you agreed up. For the Giants, players think that through everything, the Cowboys aren't the most poverty team in the NFC East. They're still only with I think the Commanders are still more poverty, frankly. That's not too bad. You could be in a worse spot, but we expect more. And that's very frustrating. Very frustrating. It's annoying. It's disappointing. Because the bar should not be better than the Giants and the Commanders. Bars be better than the 49ers, and they're still lacking significantly. If the Jones boys saw this stream in real time, what would be their one-word reaction? It's a good question. What do you guys think it would be? Maybe an expletive? I don't know what it would be. It's a good question. I don't know. I'm trying to think here. Not to be trite. Indifference. Ooh, it's a good one. Whatever. I like that one. Fine. FU. Fair. O. Pie. Peasant. Oh, peasant is such a good one. It's a good one, KEU. Blocked. Nonchalant. Money. That's a good one too. Cap. That's a good one too. Disappointed. Money. Hater. These are good ones. These are definitely good ones. Apathy. All in is one word. Okay, I like it. I like it. Pissed. Broke. Boring. Denial. Yacht. Stupid. Lies. Gullible. Lethargic. I'll give them half credit. They were not on the yacht. The yacht is in the Bahamas for Charlotte Jones's soon-to-be daughter-in-law's bachelor party. So that's what they were not on the yacht allegedly. But I will still spin it as they were on vacation because it fits my narrative, and they haven't done anything anyway. GSC Phoenix Rain. Dez is displeased, patiently waiting for the triplets, Aikman, Smith, and Irvin to voice their displeasure with the lack of moves. Emmett had his first, actually negative comment in a while, but it was at the players. Have you guys noticed those guys don't take very many shots at ownership? Have you guys noticed that? To an extent, still a little bit don't bite the hand that feeds. But they're getting more and more in line to do it. Aikman will be a bit more negative than other guys. But they've never been over the top angry with them. Disappointing. I don't remember if we mentioned it or not. Drew Lock is a Giant. 1 year, fully guaranteed $5 million deal. So he is the new backup quarterback. And there is a chance that we will end up seeing Drew Lock play for the Giants this season, which is kind of wild. I think they would love to get Drake May. I don't think they're going to get Drake May, which is good because I don't want two rookie quarterbacks at 2 and 3 in the NFC East. Because Operation Keep the Good QBs out of the NFC, taking some big hits this year with the Bears and the Commanders. Taking some hits there. Let's talk offensive line here. O-line market is fairly quiet in kind of surprising fashion. The guard market has moved a lot. The tackle market has not. That has been pretty quiet at this stage, which I'm surprised by. Jermaine Illuminor signed. Who else made moves? Micah Nwenu re-signed with the Patriots. That's kind of it in terms of the offensive line. Shelby Harris went back to the Browns on the defensive line. Deion Bush re-signed with the Chiefs. But that's it. Which at that point, and I don't want to give false hope, if the market continues to be slow, I think that gives you the hope and dream and maybe it could happen. Tyron Smith not getting the deal he thought he was going to get. Now, normally, I think that those agents have a good feel for what the market's really going to look like. Maybe he didn't this time. Maybe the agent didn't have a great feel. Because there's been really no movement on the O-line market. Akeem Adeniji went to the Browns. So Jerron Christian's a free agent. Whatever. Charles Lenu, I think, is going to retire. Would have some interest there otherwise. But Mekhi Becton's unsigned. Josh Jones is unsigned. All these players are unsigned, And the tackle market has not moved, despite teams needing to get some help there. The center market has not really moved either. The three big names have moved, plus Mitch Morse. But the backup center market, Bradley Bozeman, maybe Evan Brown, Mason Cole. Coleman Shelton, I am intrigued by as an option. It'd be kind of funny if you went back to the other Connor McGovern at center. I think that'd be kind of funny. I'm going to mention Connor Williams here. Dolphins signed Aaron Brewer. Now, both those guys can play guard, so maybe they pursue that route. But he is a free agent coming off a torn ACL. And as annoying as it might be, Connor Williams played really well for the Dolphins at center last year. Like, he was legitimately one of the best centers in football. Throwing it out there. Luke Heaton. $10. That puts you into our raffle for the signed Drew Pearson mini helmet. End of the month, by the way. Just check free agency trackers. We are legit the only team to make one move in Trent Sieg. Can you even call that a move? Are they still asleep? I honestly, I would not count the long snapper a move. I honestly wouldn't. It's the long snapper. They all get vet minimum deals, basically. Like, that is like the easiest contract ever. Like, hey, how much guaranteed do you want? This amount. You know what? That's fine. We're gonna cut. Well, you know what we're gonna do is we're gonna cut you at roster cutdown time to juggle our salary cap numbers. But you're gonna be our guy. So, gentleman's agreement to pay you. Sure, that's fine. Easy contract talks. Ray Cheney, is there any way we can get rid of these owners? Outside of a disastrous scandal? No. And the Jones boys might be too big to fail. Have to be a big one. Like, big one. They caught him in 4K doing it. Like, massively large. Like, bigger than Steve Ballmer big, frankly. They're very powerful. Joshua, 2005 free agent class pushed the boys to draft. They did. That is what happened. Put that in. Let me get some names on that list here. Let me pull up that list if I can. So 2005, they signed Aaron Glenn. Among others, Drew Bledsoe, Anthony Henry, Marco Rivera, Jason Ferguson. And in that season, in a year in which they were so disappointed by the things that had happened, they went 9-7. Again, I think letting a free agency class from damn near 20 years ago impact you is kind of embarrassing. But what are you going to do? Short-term, long-term. But look at the Jordan Hicks deal. It is 2 years, $8 million actual money. Would have been a good deal. Hit that sub button if you haven't already done so. YouTube.com/@CowboysTV. We are going for 168,000 subscribers here on today's show. So I appreciate it. Keep growing. Keep allowing us to do live shows. Keep the lights on, quite literally, here at the office. Hit that sub button. Free, simple, easy to do. Valentina official. Cowboys are a marketing company worth $7 billion that play football. Spot the lie. You're not wrong. The greatest investment in human history. Right up there with the Louisiana Purchase. There's just massive return on investment there. And the results are more disappointing than the Louisiana Purchase. Got a lot of land for that one there. Just didn't pan out the way you wanted to. Go back to the pin comment today. Will the Cowboys sign anybody today? We are 2:20 Eastern time. So free agency open for well over 24 hours now. And the Cowboys have done nothing. Nothing at all. I am not counting Trent Sieg. I refuse to do it. At some point, they will sign somebody. Of that, I have no doubts. But it's really frustrating to be the team that does nothing. That there's just nothing to be excited about. Everybody else uses free agency the same way. Some more extreme than others, but they'll spend on outside guys. They'll throw some money around. The Cowboys sit there and go, you know what, we can make $30 million in cap pretty easily, but we don't want to. We don't want to do that. Their comp picks right now, it's a 5 for Tyler Biadasz, a 5 for Dorrance Armstrong, and Tony Pollard is the first of the cutoffs at the $6 million price tag range. So do keep that one in mind. There's a chance that one could rise into the $5 million range, maybe. Required a big year, other moves to happen as well, and not be canceled out by your own signing, which I guess they want to make sure that doesn't happen. What are you going to do? Crispy! First move will be next Thursday, a backup running back. Jerick McKinnon, you are a Cowboy. Which would be fine if you did other things. Like in a bubble. 1 year, $1 million and change for Jerick McKinnon, no complaints. If that, it's like you're looking at a tree and you go, this is a pretty nice tree to have in a forest. And then you zoom out and it's the only tree in a forest. Well, it's not really a forest then, is it? It's not really how it works. Jesse Guerrero, excuse me. What do we do as Cowboys fans when our team does this, SMH? Don't go to the games. Don't buy directly from the Dallas Cowboys. That's kind of what it is. And even then, they're too big. They're too big. Michael Parsons. Or sorry, go ahead, Chris.
I think you got to do what Raiders fans did to Mark Davis this year. Just absolutely troll him.
I don't know if Jerry's even care enough.
Yeah, you're probably right. Probably can't hear him.
Michael Parson. I hear the Bahamas this time of year. So the yacht is in the Bahamas. I have gathered that, shout out to the guy on Twitter who laid it out for me, and then I verified too, that the Joneses aren't on the yacht. It was used for their soon-to-be granddaughter-in-law, Jerry's granddaughter-in-law, her bachelorette party. So I think Charlotte was down there, but that's fine. Charlotte's not in front of the team right now, which I'd like to make her, but they weren't down there, so there you go. From Scott, another $10 super chat, again into our signed Bob Lilly mini helmet entry. Another second to last call here for the Venmos. $10 at what going down. He gets you in to the Venmo 50-50 raffle. Right now, the take-home is $15. At this point, your subscribers have spent more money during free agency than this damn team. Yeah. Now, if we're not counting Trent Sieg, but that happened when someone with this super chat alone, too. Let that sink in. And this isn't even that much, you know? Just stupid. Chandler Bobbitt. What other big names are left in free agency at the moment? I'll read off some names of just like the top guys who are out there at this stage of different positions groups. Top right now. Daniil Hunter, Chase Young, Kendall Fuller the corner, Tyron Smith, Calvin Ridley, Jonah Williams, Marquise Brown, Trent Brown, Eric Armstead. I get some position names too here. Stand by. We don't have the graphics made because these change so fast and so frequently. Let me find this here. Here we go. Other edges. Josh Uche. Carl Lawson fits their price tag range. DJ Wonham. Calais Campbell of the notable DTs. A lot of linebackers out there. David, Wagner, Baker. I don't like Devin White, but he's out there. Josie Jewell. I'd honestly be fine with Terrell Dodson as a free agent. Eric Kendricks is out there. Kenny Moore's unsigned. Body be out of their price tag range. Xavier Howard kind of getting up there in age. Christian Fulton fits their mold so well. All of the safeties to an extent. Cam Curl, Justin Simmons, Chauncey Gardner-Johnson, both Seattle guys, both Bills guys, Jordan Whitehead, lot of safeties out there at this stage. Let's see if I can find the offensive list here. Here we go. Running back is Dobbins, Edwards-Helaire, A.J. Dillon, Cordero Patterson. Receivers got some guys. Calvin Ridley, I think he's going to be a Jag or a Patriot, though. Feel pretty good about that one. OBJ, Curtis Samuel. Fuck it, bring back Cedric Wilson. You're not going to go get a tight end. Tackle, Tyron Smith, Trent Brown, Donovan Smith, Mekhi Becton, George Fant, Josh Jones. The guard market's pretty thin. Dalton Reisner. Centers, Connor Williams, Coleman Shelton, Evan Brown. Like, it's just kind of a weird way to go about it there. So not a great group because it's now into day 2. And guys aren't as good there. Chris B., 31 teams made moves and the front office thinks they're better. Yeah. Hunter M., real question. How happens to the unused cap space? Does Jerry Jones keep it? No. Unused cap space rolls over. So that's why if you go and look at like Spotrac right now, and you can look at like, okay, what is the salary cap situation for all these teams in 2025? Even though the Cowboys have little to no cap space available right now, the Patriots have $263 million in cap space right now for next year. That's going to change significantly. Because as of right now, the Patriots have 26 players under contract, and they've got $69 million in cap space right now. So the projections, they roll it all over. That's kind of why it's deceptive. If I'm looking at this can't be right. This says Green Bay has 5 players under contract next year. No way. That is a typo. That's wrong. I'm about to say that didn't make any sense. But it rolls over. And you'll see teams like the Cowboys roll over cap space each season. From Joe, $10 into our giveaway here for the signed Drew Pearson mini helmets. By the way, Irv Smith to the Chiefs. Not really a big deal, but we'll mention the moves as they happen. If you are CD or Micah, why was that an extension with the Dallas Cowboys? Money. That's why. You can get paid sooner and quicker more with them. You don't have to wait to do 2 tags or a tag and a half in the free agency market. You get paid now. You don't run the risk of injuries if it's a market rate deal. Chris just saw the DJ Dallas headshot for the first time ever. Push it across. Pretty funny, right? Pretty funny. Venom, it's $1. Thank you. Kevin Burks. The Joneses are low-key rebooting. Not committed to anything. Coaches, new players, old players, none of them. They want a fresh start in 2025. And if that's their plan, why are they waiting? Right? Like, if you want to reload, okay. Do it. Do it now. Why wait? If that is your plan, then adopt it. Don't. Because if that is your path, then you're picking around pick 24 again, right? Maybe a little bit earlier, maybe a little bit later if you get lucky, and you have no quarterback. And the free agency class is going to be Dak and nobody else good. And you're going to re-sign Trey Lance and trade up and give up all your draft picks for a quarterback. If you're going to do it, you have to do it right. That's tank organically. So start that process now. Say, Dak, we're going to rebuild. Where do you want to go? We'll trade you. It doesn't matter what you get back at that point because you're going to lose games anyway. And give Lance a chance. See how he does. Trade Tank Lawrence. Move on from your old guys and start that rebuild now. What I think they're trying to do, they're trying to play both. They know they are a fringe playoff team next year. They don't know what they're going to be, or this year. They don't know what they're going to be next year. And they're trying to kind of play the middle ground. And they're sitting on the fence, and they're going to slip, and that fence pole is going to go right up their ass. $20 from Lance Dunbar's burner. Producer Chris looks a little thirsty. There we go. Drink up. How long till the Jones boys spin this free agency? Where'd that super chat go? As we didn't spend money, we need money for Dak, CD, and Micah Parsons. They already have. Like, they will spin it that way. They will sit up there and say, man, we can't do this, we can't do that, we can't do this, we can't do that, because we got to pay this guy, and that guy. Even though every other NFL team has big contracts too, and they pay guys. Everybody else does it, except Dallas. Because some of the media and the fans will believe them when they're third in cash spending the past 3 years. You could pay Lamb and Dak now and free up salary cap space. It's not that hard. From Sam, hey Tom, did I mention I was pissed? Yeah, a lot of people are pissed today. Fast Life LH. Honestly, I trust the build and the draft process. I feel like Overshown will be a return for us. So why spend the money on a running back? Pacheco equals a 7th rounder. Here's why. Here's why. The Isaiah Pacheco draft was the 2022 NFL draft. Let's run through the other running backs who were taken in that class. Let me do Command F for RB. All right, here we go. Breece Hall, Kenneth Walker, James Cook in round 2. Shad White, Tyrion Davis-Price in the 3rd. Big miss there. Brian Robinson in the 3rd round. Other day 4 picks. Dameon Pierce, or day 3 picks. Zamir White, Isaiah Spiller, Pierre Strong, Hassan Haskins, Tyler Algier, Snoop Connor on your roster, Jerome Ford, Kyron Williams, good pick there, Ty Chandler, Kevin Harris, Tyler Batty, Keontae Ingram, Treston Edmonds. These are 6th and 7th round picks right now. Britton Brown, Pacheco. So you get to the 6th and 7th round, and you've got 1 hit on that list. Pacheco is the outlier. If your plan is we're going to find a starting back in the 7th round, you're going to miss more than you hit. I think Overshown will be a big return for you. I don't want to spend big money on a running back. But the Pachecos, the Dak in the 4th round, the Brady in the 6th round, the DeRon Bland in the 5th rounds, those are outliers, not the normal path. And if you want to focus on draft building, I agree. You also have to do something in free agency. So, relatively speaking, they draft very well compared to others, but everybody misses. We can go through the Cowboys draft classes. There are misses on there. There are plenty of them. This is in free agency too. You're just not always going to bat 100. Anthony McMillan is back again. $100 super chat. Says, let's drink away our problems. You got it, bud. Let's crack this one open. Chris will do a shotgun too. I'll do 2 beer bongs on this one. Cheers to you, Anthony McMillan. Everyone spam AM in the comments section. More guaranteed money than the Cowboys have given out to anybody in free agency. I'll do my first one, then we'll bring Chris on for his, and then I'll do a second one. Chris spilt it over the trash can. Here we go. Bottoms up, spam AM in the comments. Having issues there? Yeah, these are there's no sugar in these. It's just artificial sweeteners. These are so sweet. All right, Chris, do yours. This one's for you, Anthony. See the lack of space behind us on the studio setup. The lighting all gets janky. There we go. One down. And my second one. Cheers to you, Anthony. Drink our problems away. The Cowboys' motto for 28 years now. Oh, man. Woo! There we go. Fun times. By the way, Chase Young will visit the Panthers and the Saints. They have no money, the Saints do, and they're visiting with Chase Young. Thank you, Anthony. Keep spamming AM in the comment section. Eli Aaron. Could it be possible, excuse me, that no one wants to be on the Cowboys because they do the same thing every year? Let me put it to you this way. The Cowboys believe that playing for the star and the benefits that come along with playing for the Cowboys, which there are some marketing-wise, mean that they should get the discounts, that they should have to pay less for other players. And that is just not true. It's just not. Now, players will re-sign sometimes for less. That's true for most teams, unless they're terrible. You know what teams are going to give the advantage to, the tiebreaker to? The Chiefs every time. I can get $5 million from Dallas, $4.5 million from the Chiefs, and go win a championship. Take the $4.5 million. So now you might not be paying a tax of having to, outspend because you're a bad football team, but you're not getting a discount. Excuse me, as my throat's a little tied up there. You're just getting the rate. And this team wants to win the deal every time. And it just does not work that way. Chris left. I don't know where he went to. Hope he's okay. He just left. Here he comes. You all right there, buddy? Yeah. Oh, he said pee. Okay. That's fine. You don't on my bladder, which is worse than it ever has been. Clancy, $1 super chat. Thank you, my friend. Who can we sign to salvage this free agency? A running back, if not two. I don't love the market. A starting linebacker. Bring back Tyron Smith. Bring back Gilmore. Find a value safety. Add some depth along the defensive line. It's all very doable. And it's better than just you sign the long snapper, $5 for Ortiz. I hate the Jerry Jones and Stephen Jones. They suck. I get excited every year for a new league year, but we never do anything. Just sign someone. So fuck it. Sign Jordan Lewis. Cornerback market and tackle market are pretty quiet so far. So the longer those go without some real movement, the better chance I think you have of getting a good deal and maybe bringing those guys back. But got to figure it out there. From Zeno, I thought it hurt less knowing Jerry Jones was lying about being all in. Here's the thing. Jerry doesn't think he was lying. Jerry just thinks that his way is the better way and that his definition of all in is the correct definition. Obviously, it is not. But that is what they think, which is fairly embarrassing as far as I'm concerned. All right, Dwayne Jackson, it's another shot. Bottoms up. Do you think playing the waiting game and knowing how the Cowboys operate by being cheap, does that play a role with why free agents are reluctant to come to Dallas? Their agents are telling them, hold on, this went a little long. Dallas will lowball you. Look, I know this to be the case background-wise. They lowball the fuck out of everybody. They did it with Dak. They did it with Tank. They did it with Tyron Smith, who had spent so long with this team, and they lowballed him And that's why he's testing the open market. Now, maybe they'll end up being right on lowballing Tyron. If so, great. Great. But Tyron gave you an unbelievable discount. He took so far under the market rate, it may have been a bad thing for Dow because it's all to do with everybody. Because Tyron had all this really bad family stuff going on involving his money, and it was kind of like, I don't even want to deal with this. Like, just give me something close, and he signed it. And maybe in hindsight, he does it differently. He took a pay cut last year, and then they lowballed him again. Of course he was mad at him. I would be too. They lowballed beyond, which for the record I would have done too. So that one's fine. But they do lowball guys. And if their mindset is very clearly, we're not going to call you, you call us. That's not how it's supposed to work, guys. You want somebody, you go get them. Don't sit around waiting. You're not going to win the deal, maybe, but it's not going to get better either. Seth. Ooh. Here's the draft plan. Round 1, Jackson Powers Johnson. That's the Oregon center I'm in. Round 2, Ricky Pearsall, the receiver. Fun player, but round 2 might be a touch early for me. Round 3, Corum. Okay. Re-signed Gilmore and Hankins. Sold. Signed Zeke. Nope. Can't do it. Give me not A.J. Dillon. Give me, what do I want? Give me somebody else. Be through my plotter. Wagner/David. That's Bobby Wagner/Avante David. Sold. Justin Simmons. Sold. Dalton Reisner. Sold. Extend CD. Replace Rowdy with a real cow. You got me on Rowdy. I'm so in. F Rowdy in the comments section. Let me do that tweet too. I'm gonna blame Rowdy for this part too. People are very upset about my Deuce Vaughn tweet, Chris. Oh, you did? They are mad at me. It was clearly not a serious tweet, and people are upset. Which I'm not even mad that they're upset. Like I get it.
Guys, I'll put Tom's Twitter in the comment section. Make sure you go follow him on Twitter. Go retweet this hilarious tweet that he's about to put out.
Someone, Bleacher Report tweeted out the Cowboys do something tweet, and someone tagged me like, they took your tweet. I'm like, that tweet's existed for like 10 years. It's not, at this point, it's not credit. It's just like everyone does it. It's very fine. Let me see what that tweet's up to, by the way, in terms of likes and shit. 345.
I saw this one last night.
Chase sent that one out too. Yeah. Again, existed for years. Yeah. We're using the same jokes every season for this team. I don't love the Zeke idea, but beyond that, I'm down. You fill your needs. Jorge A. Into our entry for the signed Drew Pearson mini helmets. I think getting a running back in free agency is overblown. Get a usable back in the third round of the NFL draft. That doesn't justify them not doing crap in free agency and should get moving. I would agree. And the reason why I had interest in the free agency market at running back was it was going to be a cheap, affordable way to knock out one of your many needs. Like, I don't think this team's going to sign somebody at offensive tackle. The market's just not the way they want it to be. The running back market was, though. 11 guys, 12 guys have changed teams that could have helped you. Some of them very affordable. Gibson went for more than I thought he was going to. That one kind of stung. Zach Moss is going to cost less than your punter will this season. And you said that was too expensive. And if that's the case, then you're setting yourself up for this. Like it's not that the running back lack of movement in particular is a problem. It's a symptom of it, that makes sense. Like you have a bad fever because you have the flu. I'm trying to fix the fever first, if that makes some sense. I'm taking some fever reducer, whatever that is. Like the running back market was affordable, it was plentiful. You could find somebody. You chose not to. So now you've probably, let's say you spend your third round pick on a running back, right? Maybe Trey Benson falls, probably not. Maybe Jonathan Brooks does. That he's an injured guy concerns me. Braylon Allen could be there in the third round. Blake Corum could be there. Bucky Irving, Jalen Wright. Maybe Ray Davis is there on day 3 for you. Like, you've got options with where things, like, you have options, right? But if I'm spending my third round pick on a back, just fine. He's got to play a big role for me. I still have offensive tackle / guard, center. I want defensive line help. I need a linebacker. 2 of my top corners are free agents. I'm using one of my starting caliber, maybe draft picks on one of those guys. So that's where we're at. Where there's not enough spots. So I wanted to get a running back because it was an affordable, cheap way to fill one of my needs. So there you go. Like, it's not that it wasn't like, oh, they needed to get a running back no matter what. But the path they went down was not particularly great. Jordan, $1 super chat there. Thank you. I appreciate that. I like that photo too, by the way, the CeeDee Lamb photo. Today's show is made possible by Prize Picks. Go to prizepicks.com/CLNS and use code CLNS for a first deposit match up to $100. Prize Picks offers some fun options, including the Demons and the Goblins. The Demons, that player projection is boosted. It's harder to hit. If you do hit it, though, you get a bigger payout. The Goblins are easier to hit. And if you hit it, you get a bit of a lower payout. I like the flex play when I'm not doing the Goblin. Flex play on the Goblin, it's not enough of a return. But the normal picks, I love the flex play. Because I'm great about getting 2 out of 3 right, 3 out of 4 right, 4 out of 5 right, whatever. I love that. You can do NBA, college basketball, or UFC. Producer Chris, what do you have for me?
Tai Tuivasa, Marcin Tybura. Man, some of these guys just have the wildest names. 10.5 minutes. I'm going less than on that. I think this fight's going to end in a TKO knockout in the first 1 or 2 rounds. If Tuivasa wins, I forgot to mention this before, he always does a shoey when he wins.
Oh, I hate
somebody
the shoey.
will throw him a drink, somebody will throw him a shoe, and he'll do a shoey right there in the cage. Brian Battle, I'm going to go less than on the significant strikes, 66.5. He doesn't throw a lot. A lot of his fights have ended early in the first, second round. I don't think 66.5 is going to be there. I think he probably, if he wins this fight, I think it goes a submission. I just don't think, he just doesn't throw a lot of punches.
PrizePicks.com/CLNS and use code CLNS for a first deposit match up to $100. Links in the comments and the description of today's show. We appreciate everyone who checks out Prize Picks and helps support us in the Cowboys Report. Couple more supers we will get to here. We're getting closer to running, and we'll do it in 10 minutes. At 3 o'clock, we'll do it. The 50-50 Venmo raffle. I guess we actually are caught up on supers. Awesome. So then, final call for the Venmo 50-50 raffle. $10 on that front for the 50-50 raffle. Trenton Geraldo and Lance Dunbar, burner, speaking of Cowboys legends, are in there. So 15 to take home. Get one more and it'll run for 20. He got caught. Chris got caught pulling up the duck race. Yeah, let's go to something else. Let's go to the Cowboys sign anybody, and we'll talk about the duck race options here. By the way, 0 movement, period, today for the Dallas Cowboys. Not a single move. Nothing. So will the not even losses from that perspective. Will the Cowboys make any signings today? Y for yes, N for no. People are still I'm not even going to gauge with that. There's certain people who think the Cowboys do no wrong on social media. And like, well, roster building's not the problem. You lost in the playoffs and got your ass kicked. Maybe it is the problem. Any signings? Y for yes, N for no. 81% say no. Interesting. I wonder how close we can get to a higher number until things end up playing out properly. Like until they actually do sign somebody, right? I don't know. Will they make any signings? Y for yes, N for no. What fun duck race options, Chris, do we have available? Like that are thematic?
I don't know. I was thinking of some
Any Easter ones? Any Easter or spring ones?
Let's see. Well, there's an egg and spoon race.
Yeah.
I thought I saw Easter at some point. Okay, holiday themes. Oh yeah, we've got Easter bunny race and Easter egg race. It's literally eggs with looks like chicken feet coming out of the bottom.
Weird.
Those are the two Easter ones. I was kind of thinking some kind of like troll. Like you got snails, but honestly, I think snails would be just too slow.
I would lean towards the Easter bunny. Feel free to chime in.
Maybe like the canoe for the yacht boys. Oh, leprechaun race for St. Patty's Day coming up.
I could do. Ooh, let's do that. Let's do that because we're not gonna get a chance to do that one again. Let's do that one for sure. Let's do that one. I think that's great idea. So last call, A for super chats. I think we'll go ahead and we'll sign off after the race is over. Chase Young also going to visit the Titans. So okay. Sounds like Kenny Moore will probably end up back with the Colts. Let me see if our new dropping dimes guy has anything else of note out there. At Pretty Ricky with an E, 1, 2, 3. Nothing new there. Last call on the super chats or the Venmos, $10 at What Going Downey. Because we'll sign off here after a 4-hour stream, give or take. Gerlado. Yeah. You weren't even close there. Geraldo. You're good. A lot of no's. There is a new signing, by the way. The Bears are signing Gerald Everett to a 2-year, $12 million deal. I think there is some connection, if I recall correctly, between that coaching staff and Everett. They like to use 2 tight end personnel too. Shane Waldron likes multiple tight ends. So not terribly shocked on that front there. But also sounds like Kenny Moore will re-sign with the Colts, which takes off a good nickel corner I wanted really bad. Is how it is. Any signings today? Y for yes, N for no. I'll put 2 minutes here on the clock. Excuse me. And then we will run the race and stay live if super chats continue to come in. But 4 hours is... Oh, this looks awesome, Chris. 2 minutes, last call on the Venmos at What Going Downey for our Split the Pot. Take home right now is 15. Each one that comes in would be an additional 5. So I'll put 2 minutes on there and then call it because I don't want to have someone donate and then, if you send in late, I'll send it back, obviously. So don't worry too much about that front there. Chris B's got the super chat. This is what I was alluding to. Says, Dan Rodgers on X is such a front office homer, they do no wrong. I have no ill will toward Dan. He just tends to be a contrarian. That tends to be his take. Like something, Dan doesn't like it. Don't like something, Dan does like it. Which is just not the way I would play it in the end. So, it's just not great. It's not. I just don't agree with it. I don't know how we can sit there and say, roster building is not the issue when they haven't won a playoff, when they haven't won the conference championship in 28 years. There's a lot of things wrong. Roster is one of them. It's not good enough. Because Dan also wants to keep the quarterback and the head coach. So then where's the issue then, Dan? Right? A lot of things wrong there. Gotta pick one of them. Can't say it's all fine and dandy. 30 seconds left here. Jason, how are you still standing? Jason says bottle check, first of all. And then Flabs Martinez, how about them Cowboys? We're fine. We're fine. Southern Comfort is not, Northern Aggression. Shit, it is 21%. That's not that bad. I've had worse. Shots of good wine, right? Flabs Martinez, $20. Bottoms up. There you go. Chris B says him and others just like to keep stroking the front office. Bonk. Jordan B is our final entry into the Venmo 50-50 raffle. That is Jordan B. Pete says Tom could drink a case. He's a heavyweight. I don't know. It's very funny. I think it's a mental thing. If I'm out at a bar or if I'm out just drinking with friends, in most cases, I think it's the adrenaline in me. It's like I'm live. I'm on my game. I can drink more on air than I feel like I can off of air. Even just like straight beers. Like you got all these beers here. Like I just don't drink the same. Get on screen. I feel like when I'm off air, I think it's because the lack of adrenaline that I have. Like it's game day. It's a live event. Like I'm in that moment. And even normally too, once I get off air, I feel it all. And I'm like, oh boy, I drank a lot today. But I think it's just the adrenaline of everything going on with on-airness that it's not hitting me the same way in the end. All right, so the last Venmo came in from Jordan B. So we will run that race. Any more supers come in, we will break those down. Then we will sign off. We'll have probably a video at the end of the day too, later on. And if news happens, great, we'll break it down. Who the hell knows? Let's run this race. We've got Jordan, Trenton, Geraldo, and Lance Dunbar's burner. It's a leprechaun race for St. Patrick's Day. Here we go. 3, 2, 1. Let's ride. They're after the pot of gold. All right. I wish they were I don't know if they should be hopping or something, but who knows. Got Lance. That's Lance. That's Geraldo at the 2 spot. Trenton's at the 3 pole position. And Jordan B, the late entry, takes the early lead. Why is the top leprechaun literally green, by the way? That's really weird. It's like his costume, bled through him. Trenton H takes the lead. Lance Dunbar's burner in second. Geraldo is in third. Man, Jordan B is slowing down. He is now in the Cowboys free agency position in last place. Lance Dunbar's burner pulled a hammy. Happens before. Jordan B reclimbing. Trenton H in first. Here comes Jordan B trying to make a pull. Here comes Geraldo out of nowhere from last to first. Geraldo wins the race. The red-haired, bearded leprechaun, Geraldo wins. I'll send you that $20 on Venmo as Geraldo wins more than any outside free agent from the Cowboys this year. How about that? What a terrible spot to be, by the way. What an absolutely terrible spot to be. We will have more Cowboys news rumors. We don't have any rumors out there right now. That's how bad this is. So hit that sub button, youtube.com/Cowboys TV. If stuff happens, we will have you guys covered. Hit that sub button right now.